Wait, what was I just saying before the mics were on?
Hellraiser. And who would you peel off your skin and fuck?
Oh, no. That's what I was going to say. It
Guy
is
Smiley,
insane.
Mr. Body.
Mr. Body.
Mr. Body.
Yeah, it was like a children's show from
Peabody.
the late 70s, early 80s that got like repeated on PBS a whole bunch. And I remember it as a kid. And it was a man with curly hair who wore a skin-colored like spandex
Like
bodysuit.
leotard, yeah.
Like a body glove, right? And on it was printed the anatomy of your body.
Oh,
Like-
they did that in the movie Milk Money. And there was a hot girl.
Right,
and the
right.
kid wanted to bang this old lady, and she came in, she unzipped her vag. Remember that?
Unzipped her vag.
Her crotch. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That was, go ahead.
So, Mr. Body
Yeah.
was a children's show
Yeah.
with a, like, skinny, curly-haired man in this body sock
Right.
I don't know about this.
where you see bones and heart and spleen, but, you know, a bulge, right? A body sock bulge.
Yeah.
Was it like, here's your testicles?
No, it was like...
It's not the instructional thing like I'm thinking of.
Right. Yeah, he's not there going, hey, kids,
I think you keep
here's
saying,
how you generate
You keep
sperm.
saying nudity and curly hairs.
Never said nudity. I said he had curly hair.
Yeah.
I like how you're like, but how does it sexy? I don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to fuck this
Yeah,
guy.
yeah,
but I don't
definitely.
understand because you're not explaining it
I don't
properly.
understand why I want it.
I know, but I know I want to fuck him.
Yeah.
I want to fuck. I want to grab him by his visible ribs, and I want to bang him. I want to see how far up my penis goes inside him.
Play it.
Translucent?
No, in the mind of this thing.
All right.
I love this quizzical thing. I'm like, I don't get it. What? I mean, I want to fuck him, but why?
I was like,
You're weird.
I was like, oh, Mr. Body, of course, the victim from Clue. Nope.
No.
Different Mr. Body.
A different
They're
Mr.
cousins.
Body
this-
altogether.
Is it flesh colored?
Yes.
Okay, so you did say flesh, and then
Yeah.
you said curly. We're happy
So
with
I mean,
it.
yeah. What do you think the Three Stooges is?
I gotta make that waifu face every week.
It's not waifu. Waifu is like what they refer to as like a wife.
What is the face I'm making? You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
It's like some anime thing.
Someone's gonna tune
I've
in
seen
for
like
this.
Uwu or Owo.
Oh, woo.
Ooh, woo woo.
I dated a
I-
girl who did that stuff. You know, she had like the hat with the paws. You know what I'm talking about?
Boots with the fur.
You know what I mean by
Hats
the
with
hat?
the paws.
She had a hat. It was like very fuzzy, and it came down with paws, and she would use them.
Oh yeah.
and then she would text me like RAWR and stuff like that.
Yeah, she's trying to spell my name.
She was one of those guys.
I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted by the idea. Because I've known
I didn't know-
gals like that.
I don't think I knew about what those people were like until
It's exhausting.
it was a lot.
It's like me, sorry. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
she does-
get the fuck away from me.
Oh no.
yeah, no, yeah.
but,
well, you know,
She
it's the only legal way you can do what you really want to do.
she had
Chase
like
her
her
through the woods.
intestines here. Yeah, I was chasing her through the woods.
Can we talk about?
Just
We should
fun,
open the
consensual
podcast
play.
before we go
Hello,
further.
Yeah, I guess.
and welcome to another episode of Funbearable. I am Brad Rohr.
Chuck's got a knife.
And I'm Switchblade Staten. Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, but Ray didn't get to say his name.
I'm Ray Harrington.
Wait, hold on.
Ow. Put it down. Put it down. The dad in me, as soon as he picked the fucking knife up, my eyes shot right to it, and I'm like, we're no longer doing a podcast. I'm making sure this child puts that weapon down. You know?
Yes.
Boy, oh boy. I want to know if our viewer listener knows what the hell I'm talking about
Mr. Body?
when I'm talking about Mr. Body.
Yes.
I do think it's insane that it was just like, no, this is for kids. And it's a grown man in the skinniest, bulgiest thing you can possibly wear
Right.
and be like, this is for children.
Is it I mean, it's funny because there's a lot of question marks. I don't know what it is. This isn't like a science guy.
No,
Is
this
it
is
comedy guy?
this is just here's the human body.
Yeah,
wow.
so it's
So
there's
it's
an
science.
element of
That's
science.
science.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is science, I guess.
just poorly done.
Yeah,
Anatomy.
It's like if I were Bill Nye. It's just not good.
But he's not showing all his stuff that he's got, like his stomach, intestines.
yeah, she's
lungs.
showing that
Oh, he is.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's
just
drawn?
not below it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just drawn.
It's
he's not
there, but
showing.
they don't draw attention to
He's
it.
not showing his actual stomach.
His pubis.
Although
Yeah.
you got to check out the outtakes.
Yeah.
So
Wow. There was a whole bunch of. Do you know it took on average 50% longer to shoot each episode of the Mr. Body program because they would have to cut whenever he got an erection.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because you would see it.
Right.
And you hear in a lot of the bloopers, a lot of the goofs.
Yep.
You hear like, cut. You can see it. You know, like there's a lot of that.
That's why they asked me to audition, and they're like,
Yeah.
even if you do get an erection, we won't have to stop
I
filming.
had one.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember Milk Money?
Yeah.
Yes, Melanie Griffith.
It's funny because like I don't. So here's what I remember, and I was a child when this came out. I'd be surprised if this came out after 1993, probably like 92 or 91. And I think there was a little kid. This is what I remember. His dad was divorced, maybe.
Yes.
Single, divorced or widowed. Yeah.
Yeah, and
No.
he
He
has a
killed his
kid.
wife.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely
then
killed his wife.
There's a hot woman, Melanie Griffith, I guess. I don't know
Yes.
who that is exactly. And she goes to his class, and she's like, "Oh, you guys are." You want to know about everything these women have, and then she unzips her pants, takes off her shirt, and she has the Mr. Body sock.
Yeah.
but she draws everything on it.
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
But
Fallopian tubes and whatnot.
that's supposed to be sexy though in the trailer, and it made me feel like it was going to be sexy. But then the movie wasn't sexy.
It's not sexy. It's more salacious. It's more like, what is she doing?
Are you-
Oh, she's unzipping her
That's
jeans.
how I act when I feel
Yeah, but it's
sexy.
like, oh no, it turns out she's just showing the anatomy stuff. But you're missing the weirdest part about that movie.
Here's what I'm going to ask. I don't know anything about the movie besides this one scene.
This family film.
Yes.
Yes, this is what I'm talking about.
She's a prostitute.
Right.
Oh,
He takes his milk money. That's what the name of it comes from. And hires the prostitute with like his buddies so they can see like a naked woman, I think is the thing.
Okay, this is
but
all
then
adding
she's
up.
gonna fall in, but then she falls in love with the father that killed his wife.
Right.
And
did they get to see?
what?
Does he get to?
Everything she unzipped.
The inciting incident.
Her unzipped vagina?
They're gonna pay her to see her naked. That's the whole plot.
Yeah.
So do they see?
I don't remember. I really don't remember. I hope not,
stinks.
because
Yeah.
by the logic of the movie, she's about to become this young boy's stepmother, which when he gets older is going to be like, hey, remember when I hired you because you were a prostitute?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not cleaning my room.
Yeah.
A lot of
Chuck's disappointed that this woman didn't go to a fifth grade classroom with
Yeah.
the intent of seducing the male half
Right,
of the
right.
fifth grade class.
It's interesting because you take this, you take Pretty Woman, and these are kind of like the, phrase wise, hooker with a heart of gold
Yep.
type of thing, and that doesn't exist anymore.
No.
Those two movies are pretty dated, and you don't really see a lot of that.
No.
No.
I don't get
I
it.
don't think we will see a remake of. Wow, I think
Pretty
Woman
Woman
is
is
like
the one.
remake
Yes.
proof.
It's the only one.
Yeah, because people are like, we don't want to see a sex worker like
no, it's
fall in love with this John.
opposite. You know why? Because it's not interesting that she's a sex worker. That's not interesting anymore. Back when it came out, I think that was a part of the movie, and now it's like, well, a lot of people are. So it's not really.
Oh, with OnlyFans, you're right.
That's what I mean. I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah. Ooh, maybe there's like a lame, like updated version where it's like she started an OnlyFans. He was the #1 subscriber.
Yes. I've written the script, and everyone I've sent it to is like, you can't subscribe to my OnlyFans anymore. And I'm like, come on, Foot Mom 212.
You blew it, Foot Mom. You were going to be a star. Now
Wow.
you just have to settle for squishing things.
Milk Money. I got to look that up because I just it seems like a weird project. It sticks out in my memory so much because she's like, probably because I was a little boy, I wanted to bang a prostitute, and then I saw a prostitute that was showing her stuff to these kids, and I was like, this is what I hope happens in my life.
Did it?
Can we just cut that clip out and then just send
Yes.
it to some therapists?
And some investigators, some law
Yeah.
enforcement
Hold
officers.
on, she's old. I'm young in this. You know what I mean? It's not like that I can get
Yeah.
in trouble that way.
Yeah.
Sure, I just think
Hurt people hurt
I think
people.
at the fully adult age you are now to also be kind of like I'd still like to see that.
Very titillated.
When you heard about Mary Kay Letourneau, were you like, "Wow, who are they arresting?"
Yeah.
Did you hear about Puff Daddy today?
I did. Let's not talk about Diddy.
Did you hear about that?
I did.
He
I
fled the
did.
country.
That's why he changed his name so many times.
Yeah.
It's because he was trying to change his identity. I didn't do it.
I don't want to.
Double indemnity. You can't charge me.
Yes.
We don't have to.
No, I didn't do anything. Diddy's free and clear. It's Puff Daddy you want.
Yeah.
Good day, officer.
I wouldn't have to go too far into this. But like,
We don't have to go into it at all.
we don't have to. We don't have to go into anything really.
Oh,
but we have a
thank
podcast.
goodness.
Wow, look at that
That's the thing.
hole with the jagged metal rocks in it. Let's not go down there. Hang on, let's go down there.
It's just so. Did he have like sex slaves and stuff?
I don't know. I
He
don't
blew
know
up a car.
anything.
That's all alleged.
I don't know.
Don't sue us, Bad
don't know.
Boy
What's up?
Productions.
I feel.
I don't know. I didn't hang out with him. I have no idea.
I'm thinking about R. Kelly. I'm thinking about Puff Daddy. I'm thinking about all these people involved in this Nickelodeon
All your
documentary
heroes.
where everyone's getting molested and touched. I don't understand these people doing this stuff. It's just so bizarre.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Why did R. Kelly have a sex? He's like, I know what I'll do. I'll become a household name.
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst part of that. First of all, any idea of being a real criminal, becoming a household name first is like the worst idea.
Well, I don't think that was his plan. I don't think
think
he
he
had a
did.
little notebook of like, I'm going to become super famous and
Oh,
then
yes.
do these things. I think that
It probably
there are-
wasn't as simplified.
I think there are people with bad motives,
Proclivities?
Yeah, proclivities, motives, whatever you want to call it. Instincts, or they're bad people that become famous.
Yeah.
And then have power because of it, and
Then they can
money
have
and
the
stuff like
opportunity.
that, and it
Yeah, that
allows
enables
them
them,
to do those things.
So if R. Kelly like worked at the grocery store, maybe he never even would have done all this stuff because probably no one
Correct.
cared about him.
Yeah. Or maybe just like one person, and then he would have gotten arrested. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if Puff Daddy was just this guy, Sean Combs, then
Allegedly
maybe,
trafficking.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
final.
if you, viewer, listener, if you're wearing any Sean Combs or Sean John, if you're wearing any Sean John, you got to take it off. Also, it's 2024.
well, he said it's alleged. We can't. We can still. He's still wearing it.
You still have all your Sean John? All of your Sean Jean? Sean
You know
Jean?
what? I'll say this. I have as much Sean John wear as I ever did.
So last thing I'll say about it.
Okay.
Let's say either Ray, Brad, whoever. Let's say you wanted to do an illegal thing,
Okay.
Okay.
and like you just had. We're not going to say what it is. It could be anything.
Boy crimes.
Let's say chloroform somebody.
Whatever it is.
I won't stop talking about
Let's
milk
say like,
money.
it could be illegal insider trading, whatever, anything.
Okay.
Aren't you so much less likely to do it if you're famous because you're like, oh man, like the people I work with and know about are so much more likely that I get caught?
No.
I would think so.
You got to think about what their experience is. They're surrounded by like
Enablers.
yes men, and just people that will help deal with everything. Their instincts of just like their impulses are
Too strong.
frayed and open. You know what I mean? There's no barrier to entry for anything, right?
Yeah.
They can just do whatever, and that impulse and just doing whatever, and somebody will take care of
Yeah.
it. Can go with, I broke this thing in the hotel room. Don't worry about it. To,
Yeah.
Oh, slippery slope.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. It's interesting just because, like, I guess from the outside,
Yeah.
I think
and then
maybe,
they're so removed from everything anyway.
yeah, it's from the outside. I'm always just like, it's just the higher up you get in terms of popularity and being well known, like to me, and this is just utilitarian from not being in the person's head, just thinking about it logically. It's like, I would be so much less likely to do an illegal thing. Everything.
I'll say
Even like-
you're much more logical than most people.
Well, let's even-
much less famous people.
Even if you bring it down though, to me, like, didn't Winona Ryder have like a shoplifting thing?
Yep.
Sure.
Like, to me, like, that's insane. It's insane that Winona Ryder's like, like, I'm like, don't you just not do it because you're you? Or Ariana Grande licks the donut? I don't like it.
I think, again, it's like an impulse thing. And I think if you're in that world and that's your reality,
Yeah.
there's also many things that you're doing that no one has any idea about that is like intentionally secret,
Yeah,
right?
that's probably
like
true.
Taylor Swift, she's hugely, hugely famous.
Yeah.
Her life is completely different than any
Yeah.
of us, right?
Yeah.
Which also means there's way more minutes in the day that nobody has any idea what Taylor Swift is doing.
right.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So who knows?
Yeah, you're right.
She was probably with Diddy. That's what I'm going to say.
I'm gonna say that
She was like pushing him to do it.
It was like she's on the dock charging.
Yeah, that does feel about right. Yeah, but that's what I mean. I mean, I think once you get to a
You're
certain
right.
level of fame or recognition
Yeah.
or whatever, you live a private life in
Yeah.
terms of the walls are up and you have a barrier there.
Yeah, you're right.
You know?
You're right, because even
Winona stealing is probably the most relatable thing I could ever think of. If you're in that world of just a little bit of
for
your own control over something, I totally get that.
I think the idea of like those kind of like low level crimes like that, as opposed to the big terrible stuff.
Yeah.
I agree with you, but I also do think like right now, like I don't steal, but like right now my anxiety for stealing is here. And if I was insanely famous, I think my anxiety for stealing would be through the roof.
I mean, I think about Eddie Murphy or Hugh Grant or any of the sex worker scandals from the 90s. Like,
that's what Milk Money was built based on.
Nope. Those people were super famous. So why did they have to go get a sex worker?
I always think that's weird. Yeah.
I don't know. And never will.
Yeah. It's really difficult to judge that stuff. But I will say about Winona, to keep this in a fun, positive place.
Yes, please.
I do think it's a little bit murky because of the idea of if you are at a level, sometimes people just give you shit. And I think that was her initial defense of like, they said I could take it, right?
Right.
I could see a world in which that is true. It's probably not for this scenario. This is also a thing that happened forever ago.
Yeah, I don't remember it either.
But here's the positive side. I guess this means Winona Ryder is an honorary boy crimer.
Wow. And Diddy.
Welcome, Winona.
Nope.
No, Diddy's not.
Let's not.
That's
Diddy,
too much.
no.
That's beyond boy crime.
Yes.
Bieber-
That's full-on crime.
Okay, Bieber peeing in the mop bucket, boy crime.
Teen crime.
Yeah.
Teen crime.
He was a boy, and it was a small crime.
He was a teen.
But also, like, you know what I mean?
No, that's a boy crime and a half.
There's petulance there. I
think there's some petulance in boy crime sometimes.
Sometimes.
I think there's some petulance in my urine. I need to get to a doctor.
That is fair.
How about Ariana Grande licking the donut? Boy crime.
I guess.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't do that. Even as a child, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't. The idea of like licking something that someone is later going to buy, I think is yucky.
I never licked a thing like that.
Can we do the podcast?
Oh, we've been recording this whole time?
I just think it's funny. I just thought it was interesting that they're like, the FBI has raided Puff Daddy.
Yeah.
His jet has fled the country.
Yeah.
And so now he's like, he's not confirmed to be on the jet. It's confirmed that his jet did flee the country. And I thought that was so funny and weird. It's like, what is going on? Like,
it's wild. It is wild.
You know, it's funny because I agree with everything you said, but like if you think of the most popular person in the world, like let's say Taylor Swift is within the top 5 people right now. That's the most famous in the world, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Of the current age. It is so weird for that person to do a crazy crime. I just think it's so strange. I totally understand what you're talking about the slippery slope, the yes men, you constantly have so much stuff hidden anyway, all that stuff like that. Yeah. I get all that, but it is like so hard for me to wrap my head around.
But it's not new.
No, it's not new.
This is history since history.
You know what is new though? The type of
rap.
No, the type of the type of media attention that you get as a celebrity over the past 15 years is just different.
Yeah.
So I do think that even makes it kind of weirder. But then again, R. Kelly, Puff Daddy, that stuff probably happened before that. That they probably started before that dawn of new media.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's a quietly sort of accepted thing that Diddy had some involvement in the
for both or just Tupac?
Tupac.
In the old
Jordan
West.
told me it's both. Jordan told me it was Biggie too, but I hope that's not true.
I don't know. I heard that the two of them.
Why do you laugh at that?
This is like if our podcast was doing current events, but we are all like not sure about anything. You know what I mean? Like, well, I read one tweet, but it could have been a lie. What was the Twitter account? fakenews.jizz? But they had a video.
That's mine.
They had fakenews.jizz had a video.
But it was labeled deepfake.
Yeah.
.mp4.
Oh man. Yeah.
Deepfake test.
I think that part of it probably too is my own like extreme anxiety about doing anything wrong at all. I'm just such a.
But
if
you had the means, the money and the people to do it for you, you 1,000,000% would regularly chase a woman through the woods with meat taped to her butt.
Yeah.
Well,
it would just be a thing you do, and then there would be an Apple TV plus documentary
Yep.
series that comes out.
No, not if she
Directed
didn't want
by
to.
Ray Harrington.
Directed by Ray Harrington.
Only
And
if
it's
that was her kink
your
as well.
your closest group. Oh my god, I'm having such a fun idea of like who your entourage is, and it's like Breckin Meyer. Breckin Meyer is in the documentary going, it was crazy. We had no idea. We had no idea.
He would say things about it, but
we thought it was a joke. We thought it was a joke. He would call me Seth. We'd laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
We had no idea. I didn't know until I saw
I don't know.
all the beef jerky.
I bet there are some celebrities out there who are like they're like I got to be really careful because I'm a celebrity and I'm going to get in trouble for whatever I do. I bet there's some people like that. But maybe maybe there's some people that just have weird impulses that are stronger than that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah. And if you are a level of famous,
Yeah.
no one sees what you're doing. You have complete privacy. You think about like, oh, people seeing you. That's when you go out in public. That's when you know you're doing it. You don the fucking human skin suit and go out and do your thing. When you're in your, palatial estate with security, you could do whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
Yeah.
You could eat ice cream for dinner. Nobody's going to stop you, Chuck.
You could be like a decent football player that was in some comedies and then straight up kill your wife, your ex-wife,
and
her boyfriend and just be like, yeah, I did that shit.
and then you say publicly, I didn't do that.
Yeah. But if I did,
this is how I would do it.
yeah, come out with a book. Anyway, we are now relitigating so much stuff.
In my head,
Welcome to Funbearable does the 90s.
In my head, it's always I always think about crimes as being as being from the point of view of someone who thinks I can get away with this and this will be fine. And I don't know if that's always at the forefront of people's minds.
No, it's not. Yeah, especially at that level.
I mean,
they're so used to people just taking care of that shit for them.
Like it's not a level of fame, but it's a level of visibility and responsibility. When I supervised RAs who were there to enforce policies, I was like, when you go out, you are an RA. I recognize you're not doing your job, but if you're acting in a way that like it's going to reflect on not only you as an individual, but like the entire position, like not just in the building, but across campus, blah, blah, blah. And so, you're visible and like, think about that. And they're like, well, I shouldn't have to be held to a different standard. And I'm like, that's
part of the job.
That comes with a job.
Right.
And, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying be aware that people see you in that role.
Yeah. And if you do want that authority without that level of responsibility, it's very simple. Once you graduate, become a police officer.
There you go.
Then you can do that.
Just get away with whatever you want.
However you want. Yeah.
As long as nobody has a Ring camera pointed at the street, you can do whatever you want.
And even then, what?
Yeah.
A couple weeks off, paid?
Yep.
All right, we're fine. Let's do the podcast.
What do you say? Chuck and I went to Canada.
Oh, what were you running from? It's interesting that you guys left the country right around this whole Diddy sitch.
And then as soon as Diddy became the focus,
we scooted
slipped
right back on. Yeah.
We did.
You guys hit upstairs while the raid was happening, and then you came back down like, what happened?
Yeah. Whoa.
I did really consider fucking with Brad at the border a little bit to get him going.
He was.
I mean, that's not a great idea. What were you going to do?
Well, he did. He broke the law.
I did.
Chuck did an adult crime.
The way you just said that, though.
Oh, it's so pedantic.
The tone.
Yeah,
I'm like. It turns out like he had an apple in his hand. It's like that's illegal.
Oh,
that's what he's talking about.
If it were one apple, maybe I could look the other way.
Okay. All right, officer. What did he do?
3 bananas.
Oh my God! You heard that? You heard 3 bananas, 3 years. 1 year per banana. Don't do the crime if you wait.
Yep.
Don't peel. No.
Don't peel the lime. No.
Oh shit! Don't get the potassium if you can't deal with the consequentium. All right, that's close. I don't know. So you had 3 bananas.
No, that wasn't how it started. Yeah. I was. Brad and I went to Canada.
Yes.
Yeah.
A while ago, we went to the When We Were Young festival in Las Vegas. We talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
And so when Christmas was coming up, and I was trying to think of what to get Brad for Christmas, I saw that Less Than Jake, one of the bands we really like, was doing a discography tour for their album Hello Rockview, which is an excellent album. And I was like, oh, I'm like, where should we go? Because like, I have a place in New York and I have a place here. So it's like, I'm like, oh, maybe it's cool. Maybe Brad will come to New York and we'll go to a place, maybe they're doing, there's a couple of venues around New York, New Jersey that are really cool and really fun. Like,
It's tough though, because there's not a lot of like performance venues in New York City.
Yeah, right. Well, there's some fun ones. Like Sum 41 is doing their final tour. And we got to choose where we want to go. And I'm kind of like, man, they're doing the summer stage at the Stone Pony in Asbury Park. And I'm like, that might be the choice. They're also doing Red Rocks in Colorado. And Natalie lives there. So I'm like, oh, should I do that? But
at the Granite Clydesdale.
Yes. And, but I was trying to think of where we should go. So I was scanning the dates. I'm like, could we go to Boston, Connecticut, New York, whatever? And then I saw that they were coming to Canada around the same time, North American tour. And I saw that they were coming to Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal. And I've never been to Canada. Brad's never been to Canada.
That's correct.
You guys have never been to any part of Canada?
I don't think so.
Wow.
I know.
Okay.
And so I was like, man, would it be fun? And we had just gone to Las Vegas, and we had a really fun time traveling for that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, a couple little comedy of error moments. And we also have a friend named Stephen Gris who lives in Canada. And he worked for me for a while. He still helps out here and there. He's a great guy. He's very funny, very creative and talented. And he's a really good friend. He met up with Brad independently of me while he was here in Rhode Island. And I was like, man, I wonder if this makes sense. And I wrote to Gris and I was like, listen, I'm not going crazy. This isn't a hard pitch. What do you think about the idea of me and Brad coming to Canada for this final tour? Would you be interested in going? Do you think we can hang out? I don't know. I don't know how close these places are to you. I don't know if each place is 10 hours away. This makes no sense. Mm-hmm. And he's like, one of the venues is
the show's in Vancouver.
Yeah.
I figured if we meet in Montreal,
yeah, exactly,
we should be fine, right?
Yeah. He lives in Hamilton.
Okay.
And it was about 40 minutes from his house is the Toronto venue.
Yeah.
So I was like,
it's Toronto.
that's
Can't say
what they
Toronto.
say.
You gotta say Toronto.
We had a lot of discussions about pronunciation.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were in Canada.
Ontario
is what I say.
Ontario.
He said Ontario like 20 times. I kept correcting.
Oh, because he likes Mario.
Yeah.
Some people say Mario, and it drives me crazy. Yeah.
I can't stand it. I cannot stand a Mario.
But I think it's like I like the idea of you saying that in an Italian restaurant, and some guy walking by goes, "What the fuck?"
That'd be a
He's saying it to our face.
that'd be a classic Arabian screw up for Chuck.
Luigi, listen to this guy. You're not gonna believe what he just said.
I hate those fucking Marios.
Now they're it's a euphemism.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
No. We saw Goomba's Pizza.
Yes, we did.
Goomba's Pizza.
Yeah.
Because it looks like when they get squashed.
Yeah, exactly. Mushroom. And Stephen Gris is like, I'd love it. Let's do it. He's like, I think that'd be so fun. And I'm like, let's just do it. I'm like, I'm not even going to put that much thought into it. It's like 8 to 9 hours driving. That's not a big deal.
No.
Who cares?
Yeah.
And so I got it for Brad for Christmas. And I didn't really know if his response was going to be like this, like, or if he was going to be happy about it, or if he was going to be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And look at it as a crazy task. But the time.
Which one was it?
I think I was I was so uncertain about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And really up until like 2 weeks before, Chuck's like, yeah, so we'll go down Fridays, shows on Saturday, come back Sunday. And I was like, the show's on Sunday? And Chuck's like, are you sure? Like, you bought the tickets.
I don't have to know shit. I'm a celebrity.
Yes.
People take care of these. Just like Ray said.
Yeah.
I like this because it is like telling me that I don't think I could do that with you guys.
What?
I'll say
I'm realizing the two personalities here
Yep.
work well together.
Yep.
In a scenario like that. Thank you. Where you are like, I don't know. I thought it was on Saturday. It's on Sunday. Who cares,
Yeah.
right? That would drive me insane.
Well, hold on. This is a month. This is like a month ahead of time.
Okay, but also on the other side,
yeah.
some of your isms,
Oh, yeah.
tisms, I should say.
Yes. Just the one overriding tism.
Yeah. It's like a zero.
Yeah.
There's no other ones. It's
No.
zero. It's
Yeah.
ought.
Yeah.
It's an ought-ism.
Well, hold on. Can we go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, no, my point is just like, I think the two of you, that works for a somewhere in the middle kind of scenario.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want to be like the interpreter between the two of those things.
Oh, we were
Nor
fine.
would I want to live within like
You're making up
reacting.
a thing that doesn't exist.
I'm making a joke. I'm
Oh,
trying
right,
to make
right.
a fun thing.
I'm trying to remember.
No,
if,
I'm sorry.
No.
I thought it was a podcast. Go ahead.
I'm trying to remember
No,
if,
tell me about your weekend.
if gold is AU or if silver is AU.
No,
So I
I'm
could-
not a bad planner. This was just because it was like a month.
I know
ahead
you're
of
not a
time.
bad planner.
and I'm like, oh, this weekend.
You're a planner. I know you're not a bad planner.
Oh, I'm a planner.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
I was just trying to make a joke of
Fasciitis.
like the personalities, not the.
Yeah.
Never mind. Don't worry about it.
No, I'm not the type of. I'm not the type of guy that's
You're
like.
a fucking married couple, and the way you have this relationship is built on so much history. My point was like, it would be weird for me to be with like, Phyllis and Dave on their like little trip to Toronto. You know what I mean?
I think
You would have been welcome.
yes, very much so.
Oh, I'm sure Phyllis and Dave would welcome me like with open arms.
And Gris.
But also I'd be like, I don't want to be a part of this throuple.
We were
you know
great.
What I mean?
We were great.
No,
Okay.
I
I'm
think
talking about Phyllis and Dave. Never mind. Go ahead.
one of the things that's funny about Brad, about his tisms, is like, the difference is when I'm like, we're gonna leave at 9. To me, leaving at 9:12 is the same thing,
Right.
Especially for a 9-hour drive.
Yeah.
And to him, oh boy,
Yeah, you said 9. Yeah.
You get it, Ray. You're on my
I
side.
would
You're
have
have-
Phyllis.
No, I would.
I'm just kidding.
Wait a
No,
minute,
I'm saying-
Phyllis?
I'm saying I'm on your side of that.
No, I get it.
I'll write it all down.
You're Dave.
No, my thing was like, I don't want to have to. I would get whiplash being like, this is my point. I would get whiplash being like, Chuck, like it's what Brad is saying is reasonable, and I'm on Brad's side here. And then before I could finish saying it, I'd be like, whoa, wait a minute, hold on. Brad, that's unreasonable. I'm on Chuck's side. That's where I was coming
I
from.
think that is part of the dynamic of the podcast. Is that
It's fun.
is
It's
that
great.
There's a little bit of like a pickle situation where you're
Yeah.
the runner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of like this wild direction and my wild direction.
Yeah.
And it's funny because mine first seems like the wild direction. And then you're like, no, that's crazy. And then you're like, right. And then this guy, you're like, wait, that's also
Yeah.
wild in the same
so
way.
do
but-
you support the smuggling of illegal things across the border? Are you okay?
Context.
Are you okay?
Context.
Are you okay with
with him.
Are you okay being a mule?
Jesus Christ.
That is
Yeah,
accurate.
yeah,
About-
yeah.
Well, the day before, Chuck's like, "Hey, like, come over and let's plan." And so I'm like, I'm nervous about crossing the border, but just because I've never done it, I don't really know what to expect. And so I'm flipping
Yeah.
through, and Chuck's
You waxed your asshole
Just
for
in
the
case.
just for the
Just in
yeah
case.
because you were like they're gonna do it they're gonna do it
Chuck
they're gonna
said,
do it.
What do you think? I can bring a banana? And I'm like, oh, it says here no fresh produce. You can bring like packaged food, but not. He's like, yeah, I'll be fine. And I was like, well, is this one of Chuck's goofs where he says he's going to do something, but like he's saying it to wind me up?
Yeah,
That's my-
open his trunk full of bananas.
That's what I would say.
It looked like
That's
the
my-
beginning of Donkey Kong, or the end of Donkey Kong Country.
That's my cruel prank on Brad and his eyes
Yes.
is that I bring a banana into Toronto.
yeah,
Toronto. Tyrannosaurus Rex. And
I did a little light smuggling across the Canadian
would you
border.
light smuggle?
Her name was what was it? No, but so being a teen, the first time I went to Canada, I've been quite a few times, but the first time I went to Canada, no, the second time, both of those times. Anyway, went up to Montreal.
Yes.
I lived in Maine. We went to Montreal.
Hop, skip, and a jump away.
Right when we were 18.
How long you think the drive is?
Oh, I don't know, maybe 6 hours.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
It's not bad. So we went, or maybe 7. I don't know.
Sure.
Who knows?
Sure.
But yeah, so we went up when we were 18 and stayed at a hotel just so we could like drink.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, we're 18 years old and it's legal here. And we got a hotel and it was like 4 of us sharing a hotel room. And it was novel to us to just go to a bar and just be like, wow, we're drinking. It's crazy. We were dumb,
Yeah.
And
You're
then
kids.
and then the second time, my friend Scott and I were at my mom's apartment, and she was at her boyfriend's house, and we were 18, and I think it was like 9 o'clock at night, and we were like, let's go to Canada right now to go get some drinks.
I think I know this.
Yeah, and we drove, went crossed the border. There was nobody at the border crossing because we went like back roads.
Nice.
Really?
Went to the first town we could find and just stopped there, drank at a bar, met some nice ladies, hung out, chatted, and the two of us ended up
money.
like sleeping it off in the car in the parking lot, and then in the
Yeah.
morning drove back. It was great. But the first time we went, we were in Scott's car, and driving back, we had bought all this booze.
Right.
Because we're like, we can buy booze here. So like at the end of the trip, all expense money that we had left over, we're like, buy booze, buy booze, buy booze. So we just had, you know, just big fucking handles of like whiskey and stuff like that. And we're driving up to the border, and we're like, I don't think they're going to let us cross with this. So we're not sure.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's legal here, but it's not legal there. So the U.S. is not going to let us have this, I think.
Right.
And we didn't want to find out, like,
Exactly.
oh, hey, that $300 in alcohol. We're just, have a great night with it, customs guy.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, of course.
So we like, we like A-teamed it. We pulled over. We took the lining out of his trunk because he had subs in there and stuff
Right.
like that.
Yeah,
So he
yeah,
was
yeah.
an audio guy anyway. He had worked at Best Buy, got all the stuff for like free or cheap.
Yeah.
And we opened up his subwoofers and we stashed everything in there.
Wow.
That's pretty smart.
And sealed it back up, closed it, and
You go to the border
We got
customs.
away.
Okay, sorry, I have a joke.
No,
Go
we
ahead.
we got away with it, you know. But it would have been a thing of like, as if they found that. I mean, it's not drugs. Like we weren't.
Yes.
It's not
Right.
like packs of heroin or anything like that. We put those right up our keisters.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
I was going to say, just if you're going from a place where it is legal for you to have it,
Yeah.
to a place where it's not, you probably can't get in trouble for having it. They probably just say you can't bring it.
Yeah, they just
They
confiscate
probably
it.
would.
You know what I mean?
I was gonna say, if you hit it in the subwoofer and you go up and everything's cool, and then like a song comes on, it's really quiet. He's like, turn that up. And we're like,
Why does it sound like chandeliers? It's a remix. All right. No, we stop, but the car rocks because of all the liquid. But yeah, so we did that. But you know, that's the most like smuggling, I
Right.
suppose. I am, when it comes to like really like leaving the country kind of travel, like I use a vape pen to go to sleep.
Yep.
Marijuana.
came up.
I do not bring it with me when I'm flying. I just don't do it. Airports, I'm like, I shouldn't.
Yeah.
I know people that do.
Right.
But internationally, I never want to do it. And there's been occasions where drug sniffing dogs are like right there on my shit, and I'm
Yeah.
like, thank God I don't have that with me.
yes, I will say,
Balloon up the ass to Spain. That's what I have to say.
if we were writing a Harold and Kumar style comedy in the late '90s, the idea of hiding alcohol in your subwoofers in the bottles, the idea of like, what song is this? Turn that up. It's really fun.
Oh sure,
That's a
yeah, that
great,
is
great
fun.
concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I
you
didn't-
guys left. You try and get across the border with the bananas.
Well, that's not so. So basically, we were talking beforehand, and I was having the same thing as you. I'm like, man, I take these THC gummies to go to sleep every night. Should I take them or should I not take them? And then I honestly did not take them because I didn't want Brad to be annoyed and worried, because he would be if I took them. The second we left his house, that's all he'd be focused on the
I
entire
wouldn't
9
say
hours.
it's all I would be focused on, but 98% of what I'd be.
He really would. He really would. When I go to the airport, I do take them. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if drug sniffing dogs could like smell gummies, like 5 milligram edible gummies.
I mean, they
don't know.
do stink. I don't know, but those
I
are
don't know
domestic
either.
flights, right?
I mean, I took them to the Bahamas, but yeah. I mean, for the most
Well,
part,
no,
we
you
left
flew-
in Miami.
Yeah.
So, yes, I
So it
think
was all
so.
domestic.
Yeah,
Once
domestic.
you deal with
Customs.
customs and stuff, like that's where you don't want to fuck
Yeah,
around.
I hear you.
Because
Honestly,
they're not looking for you,
I know.
but you will get caught up in that net. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I know.
with the bananas, it's mostly tongue in cheek of the idea of like,
That's not how you eat a banana.
yeah, it's how I eat a banana.
You eat a banana so it goes like that?
Yeah, you go back
Oh,
and forth.
no.
I told him that's how you eat it.
Oh, yeah.
Chuck films it for Only Mom's Feet 2212.
Yeah.
It was more like a nice thing to joke about, and the idea of like,
Yeah.
all right, if they're like,
That's an
hey,
innocent
hey,
thing.
you can't bring bananas, then we throw the bananas in their compost bin and we go on our way. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
At no
yeah.
point was I seriously worried, but it was a fun thing to joke about.
Sure.
Right.
As the Dave to Chuck's Phyllis.
Yeah. And as you know, on the podcast, the whole passport thing was part of this.
Yeah.
That's been a whole thing. And I did get my passport in time. I got 2 passports somehow. One is an ID card, not the true ID,
you
but a
talked
different
about
one.
that,
Yeah. And so we left, and I was like, all right, 8-hour drive, no big deal, whatever. I've driven a million places, it's not a big deal. And we stopped halfway. Well, we left and like we went to this coffee shop, and right away Brad was in the spirit, I could tell. because we went to this coffee shop in Rhode Island, and he's like, "I'm going all maple, baby," and he ordered everything maple.
I didn't say that. I just coincidentally ordered. They had a maple cinnamon muffin, and I ordered that. And one of their specialty lattes was a maple something or other latte. So I ordered those two things, and Chuck seized on it like I was a woman running through the woods with beef jerky taped to me.
You know what I think that is? I think that's a situation of like when someone is bullied,
Yeah.
they pass it along.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when we went to Vermont for that festival,
Oh yeah.
but the difference is you just ordered like 2 things that had maple.
Yes.
And you weren't outwardly going, I'm doing this, I'm getting this is what it's about. You were just like, I'm going to get those 2 things. But Chuck was the one that was just like, I'm going to find the maple latte. I'm going to make it happen. Maple latte. Like wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, maple latte.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, God.
Chuck's face is an inch over yours.
I'm in the shower and it's just like whoosh, maple latte. It's just stuff like that. So we goofed on him for the maple latte.
Right.
And then when he finally had it, it wasn't that good. When we were leaving. So the whole trip was maple latte, didn't happen. As we're leaving, he has it. He's like, yeah. So it was insane. It was like edging for this poor guy. Anyway. And then when he finally does, it's like, but so I think he was passing that along to you.
He definitely did.
Well, so I gave Brad a nickname right away.
It was Mr. Maple.
That's a pretty good name.
We had not left the state of Rhode Island.
It's on the nose. It is on the nose.
We were 35 minutes from home, and I'm like...
And already you have a nickname?
I'm like, but then we pull out, and we pass a place called Little Acorn's Preschool. And I'm like,
ew.
Now Chuck has a nickname. Little
so it's
Acorn.
Mr. Maple and Little Acorn.
Oh, all right.
That's pretty fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you were pushing back on me saying you were Phyllis and Dave?
Yep.
You have nicknames before you leave the smallest state in the
By
country?
the way, we had a nickname for you, and you weren't even there.
I'm sure you did. I don't even want to know what it was.
Big Acorn.
Okay. There you go. I love it.
So we're on the road. We stopped at a restaurant in
Squirrel can't even lift it.
in Albany, New York.
Yeah.
And got some food there. It's delicious. It was
Yeah,
great.
I looked up. Well, this is also. It's not just the ticket was Brad's present. It was also like the whole trip.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna drive.
It was your presence over the period.
Yes. I'm like, I'm gonna pay for the gas.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna drive. We're gonna cater to Brad's needs and wants. So I found a restaurant that he would like with that won all these burger championships. And Brad got a delicious burger. Ate too much. Got sick to his stomach.
That's great.
Well, I don't know that I didn't get sick, but I felt sick.
Where in Albany? Because I perform up there all the time.
Elusive. ILLUSIVE.
Hard to find.
Not ELUSIVE. ILL.
Elusive. ILL. That's the name of the restaurant.
Hard to
though.
see.
Okay.
That's not the location. It's the name of the restaurant.
Yeah.
It was good. We had some tater tot poutine, some burgers. It was
You
great.
had poutine before you even got to Canada.
That's correct.
Well, Mr. Maple. I mean,
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Poutine.
and
How can we make these tots heavier?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
they were. I honestly, we did get poutine in Canada as well. Mm-hmm. The tater tot poutine was the best.
I think so.
What was it called again?
Tater tot poutine.
You went
The tater
You did. You had like a little stroke right there.
I
It was
get
fun.
tongue-tied.
The tututatine was pretty good.
The Goomba. And
Excuse me. Do you recommend the tututatine for one, or is that to split? What do you think? Is that for like two? The tututatine is that for 2 people?
yeah.
I'll get the tututatine for 2, please.
Should have been for 3.
Oh yeah.
We didn't finish it.
Oh, so you want the tututatine to go? We'll take the tututatine for 2 to go, please. Thank you.
But yeah, so I
And an ambulance.
I've never crossed the border before.
Yeah.
We went up to it. We're waiting in line. I could, if his hand was on like a piece of wood, his fingernails would have been like scraping down.
Not true. I was cool as a cucumber.
It was cool as he ever.
That's not allowed.
Oh no.
But no, the border was super easy.
It was fine.
Yeah.
It was no big deal. But I wanted to ask you. So there's places on the border where there is no border control.
I mean, that was a while back. It was, very late at night on some back road.
Right.
I mean, the Canadian border is porous, let's say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't, it's the Canadian border. What are you going to do? Right?
Yeah, I know. I agree.
Yeah. Nobody's flipping out about that. No. Hey, you don't see Ted Cruz taking a trip with a bunch of cameramen to go look at the Canadian border.
I do not.
But yeah. No, I hear you.
I don't know. I thought that would be a thing.
I like it.
It's fine.
But yeah, so we went up
Just waving to a Mountie.
I
He could just walk right over here.
We were looking for Mounties, didn't we?
yeah.
Yeah.
No Mountie. But anyway.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I wanted to ask you this. Maybe you'll have more of an idea than I do. I've heard people say, multiple people, not just our buddy yesterday, they're like, oh yeah, like Toronto is the most American part of Canada.
I have not been to Toronto.
Okay. So do you think Montreal is... I guess what I'm asking is Montreal
is not...
Do you feel like it's weird or different? You feel like it's different?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, it's also like Quebecois, so it's like French Canadian.
I know,
It's
I
very
know.
that.
Yeah.
It's cool. There are parts of it that I like, and then there are parts where I'm like, meh, you know what I mean? I've had fun when I've gone there. For sure.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I'd like to go...
I've wanted to go to Toronto for a long, long time. I was supposed to go pre-demic, and then that fell apart. But I've always wanted to go. And, you know, like you guys had like a little sojourn for Nirvana, the band, the show.
Yes.
And so I was enjoying, like, you sent me pictures of that. You guys, I don't want to tell your story, but one of the things was going to the Rivoli, and that's like a double fun thing for me because of Nirvana, the band, the show, but also like this is where Kids in the Hall started.
Yes.
You know,
I know.
that's like so special.
I know.
As a comedian who adores Kids in the Hall, I feel like it's something I want to do where I can just go and like touch the wall and go, physical contact and connection with that thing.
Oh, of
you know,
course.
it's cool.
Of course, yeah. I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we met up with our buddy Stephen Gris. Great guy, really funny guy. And
It
it's
sounds like two people when you say it.
Stephen Gris.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gris could be a first name.
I'll say I referred to him as Gris the entire time. At no point did I call him Steve or
I
Steven
never call him
or
Steven,
anything.
yeah.
It's just Gris.
Yeah.
No, he's a really nice guy. It's one of those things where it's like, it's one of those people that lives far away and it's far enough away that it's like, okay, we're going to see each other maybe once a year, maybe twice a year in a great year. And it's like, you kind of feel like, oh man, he's one of us though. You know what I mean? It's one of those people that like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of his friends are in the States, especially around the Northeast.
Yeah.
New York, New Jersey, Boston, stuff like that. But great to see him. Wonderful guy. We stayed with him at his apartment, and he took us out to like kind of like a local, like I guess it was like a local chain sort of place.
Yeah, like a brew pub type place.
Like a brew pub place. And we just laughed into the night, honestly. We just went back to his house, and the three of us just laughed and laughed and laughed until we went to sleep.
Yeah.
And he didn't really have too much of a connection to like Less Than Jake or anything like that, but he was just like, I'm just down to like hang out and do whatever. And the next
What was
day,
Steve doing?
Yeah. And the next day we kind of made some plans. We were like, and I was like, I'd love to go to the Nirvana, the band, the show house. I'd love to, see the Rivoli. Brad wanted to go to the CN Tower.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm like, anything's cool, like record stores, whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, there's an amazing one. And I have a friend named Tracy who's like a Tell 'em Steve Dave fan. And she had just messaged me because I said that we were going to Toronto. She's like, oh, that's where I live. And I kind of forgot. I think I knew that, but I forgot that. And she's like, you got to go here. You got to go to Kensington Market and all this stuff. And so we just had like a wicked fun day, kind of the typical explore the area day.
Yeah.
Where it was like, okay, cool breakfast place, cool coffee place, record store.
Did you run into Kenny or Spenny?
And no, see, I was thinking
Darn.
about this. I was like, what else is here? I should have thought about Kenny versus Spenny.
Yeah, it's like, oh, Kim's Convenience used to film here, and I'm like, oh, I think I saw a commercial for it once.
Yeah, I don't know about Kim's Convenience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met Kenny
Where did you meet
in
him?
Canada.
Really?
In Montreal, yeah.
How come?
The Just for Laughs festival.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
yeah.
cool. I didn't know you went to Just
we
for
shot
Laughs.
the shit for a little bit.
Did you go to Just for Laughs?
Yeah.
When was that?
Oh my God. Ages ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were, I was talking to a few people about the whole current Just for Laughs situation, which seems very strange to me. But I mean, I guess,
You know why?
Demic.
Diddy.
Yeah, did he?
Yeah.
Diddy was deeply involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whole house of cards came crumbling down.
Yeah. It's all done. It's done, Diddy. It's done. Ooh.
Done, did he done?
Like talking to Diddy, but in the cadence of like saying like, oh, it's all this, Jerry. You know what I mean? But it's Diddy.
Like George Costanza saying
Yeah,
Diddy
yeah.
instead of Jerry.
The cards are all crumbling down, Diddy. You know what I mean?
it's Mace, Little Kim.
Yeah. The news is out, Diddy.
I'm So anyway,
You're all over Twitter, Diddy.
What do you mean?
He sounds like Jerry Seinfeld. That's so fun. Yeah.
Who's Kramer? I think Mace is George, and Little Kim is going to be Elaine.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's interesting. All right,
Yeah.
right in. But it was funny because we went to the Nirvana the band, the show house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it'd be cool to see the Rivoli. Also, like, depending on how far it is, we're doing whatever.
Right.
Sure, yeah.
And it was close. But here's what's funny is, like, we love this show, Nirvana the band, the show. I don't know how many people know about the show.
Yeah,
Vice
yeah.
Canada is tough to gauge, but we all love the show. We all really enjoy the style of filmmaking. One of the main guys and the director went on to direct Blackberry, and the other guy in it went on to do the score for Blackberry as well as the score for other movies that came out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And they're working on the Nirvana the band, the movie right now.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I'm like, all right, I see the house, and then we're driving, and it's like we take a left, and we see like the hospital from the hospital episode, and then we see this part with this, and so much of it was shot in this very small radius.
Just locally, like
Very
extremely locally.
No, that makes total sense for what that show is. Yeah.
Totally. But here's my question: do you think that people of Toronto do they know about it, or is it kind of like not that popular? I don't know.
I imagine it's probably at the same level for a lot of things, similar to like if you live in New York City. So much has been shot in New York City
That's
where you're
the
just
question.
like, that's what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like you're coming into the city and it's fresh and new, like if you live in like Staten Island and then
Right.
you come in. I'm just
and,
kidding.
and you go into New York City.
Yeah. But I thought that would get a laugh from you too. Are you mad?
I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
Because it's not in the city.
I know. I thought you meant something else. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
I thought you meant the show is like not really new, so it's not people are talking about. That's the direction.
Oh,
I thought you
no.
meant.
I
not
mean,
fresh
just
and new.
like, I think if you live in Toronto, you're
Yeah.
probably very used to
Yeah.
seeing a lot of things shot in Toronto. And, you know.
yeah. What
that
I was
kind of
wondering though is like for New York City, it's like you think about like Monk's Diner and the Friends, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's so big that I think all the small stuff that's shot in New York City gets completely demolished by those big things. You know what I mean?
Sure, but it depends
wonder
on
if
what you're a
Toronto's the
fan
same.
of, right?
Exactly,
like if you don't give a shit about Seinfeld, you could walk past the diner and not even really
Agreed,
clock
agreed.
it. But you're a huge Sex and the City fan, so you know where
Right.
her house is,
Right.
Or you watch Law and Order like religiously, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, that would be amazing if you're just walking around in New York City and you're like at a level, you're a TISM level of into Law and Order, and you turn a corner and you just yell out like with people that can hear you, like, that's where they found that rape victim.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, what? And then you take a quick picture. I want to pose here with it.
Yeah, I mean-
Listen.
SVU has been on the air so long. I'd be surprised if there was a place in New York that they hadn't found a victim.
Oh, that is true. That is true. Isn't that what they say?
Yes.
If you're in New York City, you're never more than, what, 3 feet away from a
From an
murder victim?
SVU victim.
Yeah.
That's for you, Victor.
Or just a victim.
Yeah.
I think just a victim.
But we went to this huge record store that was kind of close by, and I was like, "Is this the type of thing where they'd have something from the show, or is it just not a thing?" You know what I mean? It's a weird.
Yeah.
Like you think of like Mystic Pizza, and they're like, "Oh my god!" But that's because it's Mystic, and it's hard for me to place Toronto and this kind of thing. And also, I wonder about the idea of if it airs on Vice Canada, is everything on Vice Canada probably shot around Canada, in and around Canada?
I don't know.
I would imagine, just because why else would it not be on like the main Vice? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was it was kind of funny. I'm just like, I wonder if this is like this little like punk rock comedy secret, as opposed to something like Kids in the Hall, which is very ubiquitous, I think, or much more ubiquitous.
Sure.
You know, but that was really cool to go there and see the house and see all this stuff. And by the way, that house is on like an insanely busy street. Like whatever for whatever reason, the show makes it feel like it's out like wherever.
Yeah.
It's like we had to like wait for all the cars to cross and stuff like that.
It's tough with the TV show thing. Like I'm thinking about what you're talking about, and like
It's weird.
Like the Kenny versus Spenny house,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Same kind of thing. I was just trying to liken it to something. Spaced, the
Yes.
British television show that
Edgar
I
Wright,
adored. Yeah,
Simon Pegg. Yep.
Nick Frost, Jessica Hines,
Mm-hmm.
because it was everybody gives Simon Pegg the credit for that. It was written by Simon Pegg and Jessica Hines. She was the
I
co-writer.
mentioned his name because more people know him.
Oh yeah. No, I wasn't
Edgar
saying
Wright
you.
direct it or no?
Edgar Wright did direct
Yeah.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I thought.
But you know, a really, really magical thing. And the house, it's just an exterior shot. Like
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
But people still show up once in a while. You know what I mean? And I think it's a thing of if you know it, you love it, and you're like, wow, you know. But I think for most people, they just sort of walk by.
Right.
You know.
Yes.
Why would like a 55-year-old accountant walking down the street be like, the Nirvana, the band, the show house?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question that I bet none of us know the answer to? Was this a house that was like they rented to do the show? Or did they have some sort of connection to the house before the show?
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
I just wonder because one of the things that's kind of unique to that show is it wasn't just using an exterior. They actually shot in the house.
Yeah.
And they kind of used that. They showed stuff in the street from outside, from inside the house. They
Yeah,
backwards.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was at least one of them. If it was just their rented apartment.
I wonder about that, but the only thing is there's bunk beds in the living room. And that seems like it's like a set.
Well,
a
I
lot of
think
it seems like a set.
It started as a web series, right?
Yeah.
So I imagine if they wanted to get into it, bunk beds is a fairly cheap thing to throw in as a
I
fun
agree.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and they may have, I could see Jay just walking down the street and seeing bunk beds
Yeah.
and going, oh, that would be great, and like getting them off the street.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when we shot Undependent,
Yeah.
we used an Airbnb that we had the okay from the owner. We let them know like we're gonna shoot in here, and we were specifically looking at these different places, and this one that we shot in and stayed in, that was like the studio for the two guys, had a Murphy bed.
Yes.
It had the kind of bed where it was hidden by shelves, and then you open the shelves and the bed folds down.
Right.
And when I saw that on Airbnb, I was on the phone with Lee Leshin, who produced the show. I was like, we have to get that one. We have to get that one.
Yeah.
I didn't know this was an option.
Yeah, of course.
The Ray and Derek of this script, they have to sleep in a Murphy bed.
Oh, definitely.
Together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they only have the one bed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the comedy of this thing, and it worked out really fun. Like
Yeah.
it's a really fun like
Yeah.
postscript kind of scene.
Yeah, and it's funny because you shot that without a real plan, and then in the edit we were like, what do we do with this scene? Because it's kind of very just like, oh, you guys are just discussing things and how good things are going, and then me and you had to come up with a plan of how to make the scene work, and we wrote another scene to be spliced within to make the scene make sense.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of just like fun. It was like a fun extra
Yeah,
thing.
initially it was like going to be a wrap-up scene. Like we were making fun of the idea of like the "what did we learn today" kind of
Oh,
moment.
yeah.
Yes.
And leaving things on a hanging moment of like things are gonna be great,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's when we added in the phone call and leaving a voicemail of, here's an inciting thing of like an opportunity's coming for one of you.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, ooh, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had to play with that. But so I could see them seeing bunk
Sure.
beds and just being like, yes, they have bunk beds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was very cool because, and I think we all come from the same place with this, like with the world of like comedy and making things independently and making things for ourselves, where, you see people kind of be like, okay, they just rented a place and this was their home and they turned it into this whole thing. And
Yeah.
it's fun to see them playing in the city, and that became the backdrop for this show that's kind of important to all of us. So it was awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
it's
wonderful. It
wonderful.
was really, really fun. We went to Kensington Market, which is essentially like a big grouping of streets with 1 million shops on them. And that was really fun. We met up with Tracy for a little bit. She's really nice. And she kind of told us all about it. And it was funny because I've only met her in the States a couple times. And, you'd never notice like an accent or anything. But I feel like there, she was just like, well, and I'm like, your accent is crazy here.
That was how she ordered poutine.
Oh, she was like, and
And they were like,
it was like, oh, okay.
And she goes, well, I did just come from hanging out with my family.
Oh yeah, that'll happen.
And I'm
yeah,
like,
for
that's
sure.
really funny. She's like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying garage. And I'm like, oh, that's funny, garage. I never really, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Kalina, like when we started dating,
Yeah.
she didn't have any accent because she had lived in Maine for long enough.
Yep.
Where, did she
She's
have accent
originally
from Rhode Island?
Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And then whenever we would come and like visit her family,
Yeah.
it would come back.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, huh, what is happening to you?
Oh,
right?
yeah, it's
Like,
crazy.
Yeah,
I think it's a lot with like ultra tired, drunk, and around people that talk like that. Those
Yeah.
are like the three inciting.
and that's how Diddy got to where he is.
Yes.
No, I definitely, I don't know. My accent doesn't change if I'm in Maine for a while, but my, I think the rhythm of my speech changes.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I could see
Like
that.
No,
Like this.
Sometimes
dead is
dead is
better.
better.
that's one guy in Maine. No, there's, I don't
And
know.
he's fictional.
Yes.
I don't know. I think, I don't know. I speak differently, I think. I also think I address Finn more as a Mainer than a non-Mainer.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I call him Kid. Like that's my like name for him.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's always Kid.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a thing.
That's
yeah,
fun.
I think you get around people like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's yeah.
Sorry,
it's
I was talking about my son, Brad.
Sorry.
He made the biggest cartoonish yawn.
That's a
Good
normal
God.
yawn for me. I'm so sorry to our viewers and also Ray.
No, apologize to Finn.
Nope.
He won't do it.
No.
Won't do. Oh, is he one of the stinkers, Brad?
Oh, good. That's still a thing.
Do you know what
Oh,
I-
it's never going away.
You know what
It's
I
hot
named-
dogs and
Do
stinkers.
you know what I named the episode?
No.
You'll find out.
Great.
I mean, we could change it at any time.
We could.
Yeah.
We won't.
Nope.
And we had a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
bought Ray a present. I don't know where it is though. I think I might have left it in Toronto. No, but I'm getting a package.
Thank you.
I'm getting a package from Toronto this week.
Oh, okay.
From Stephen Gris sending me something.
Which one is sending it? Steve or Chris?
Yeah. I also forgot my laptop. So that's the
Wow.
That's not the present.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I don't want it. I
No.
heard there's questionable material on
Ray.
there. Yeah. No, it's not mine. It's a gift for this guy
You're
over
like-
here.
Puff Daddy.
What's this file called? Diddy? And then there's another file next to it that says he did.
Terrible. Terrible.
Click
I should have
on that
saved
one.
my yawn for that.
This is what I mean. Polarizing. Whiplash.
Yep.
He's literally applauding.
Yeah.
You're literally yawning.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go. It's a thunderstorm. It's
all coming down, Diddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went
It's
into
all coming down, Diddy.
Sonic Boom Records, and I was
Pull up.
I was kind of wondering. I was like, I wonder if the people that work here are kind of like, oh, Nirvana the band, the show. That's really cool. They shot right on the corner, and like they're just. And I mean, another thing I don't know is like, did they actually ever perform, or was that a bit?
No, that's totally a bit.
I think they did perform.
Okay.
I thought that they did, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you think it's 100% bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because you'd.
I think if they did perform, it was a bit.
So if someone's watching the show and they have no idea what this is, it's essentially a TV show about two guys who have a band called Nirvana the band, the show.
And you never see them perform. You never see them like write an actual song.
No, it's always like improvising with a piano and one of them singing a little bit.
Yeah,
that's 5% of the show, and 95% of them show is them trying to get a gig at the Rivoli, this venue.
Yeah, we have to get a show at the Rivoli.
That's
and
every
every episode
episode.
is how do we achieve that through cartoonishly comedic, silly,
Yes.
Exactly.
childish attempts.
Exactly, and also like. Unlike Tenacious D or Lonely Island or any version of a comedy band, there are no songs ever released by them that
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
of.
right.
So I'm not sure if they ever performed anywhere or what the deal is with that. But
I gotta say, you brought up Tenacious D. I just want a quick aside.
yeah, the new song,
There was a lot. Well, I mean, yeah, they did Britney Spears.
it's great. It's
Of
excellent.
course, yeah.
Yeah.
But Wicked Game, they had released a like music video playful cover of Wicked Game.
Yes. Chris Isaac.
Yeah. But what I saw yesterday was a live performance of Wicked Game.
Okay.
And I think I've always known this, but just it was the first time I consciously was like, damn, Jack Black is a phenomenal singer.
Yeah.
I've heard an interview with him about why he's a phenomenal singer.
So, but I want to bring this up because Tenacious D, absolutely killer. Loved Tenacious D when I was like when that first album came out. It was like myself and my friend group were like, this is what we listen to,
Right.
And it was fresh, like oh, we're all getting licenses for the first time. We're all driving, and it's like fucking put it in. We're listening to this.
The best.
Yeah, it's so good. And I knew, I was consciously aware, like, he is a great musician.
Yes.
He's very good. Yes, he can belt.
Yes.
But seeing this live cover
It's crazy.
of a song that's hard to hit.
It sure is.
And fucking nailing it and still sounding 100% like Jack Black. That's what it made me realize. Like, yeah, he sings in all these different ways and has such a huge range.
Right.
Crazy range. But he never doesn't sound like him. I know a lot of musicians that, especially like comedy musician people, where they kind of adopt a vocal thing of the thing they're playing with.
Right.
Sure.
He's just genuinely a fantastic fucking singer.
He's excellent. His even those like flourishes and trills that he does,
Yeah.
that are like, he does like, one of them is Classico, where he goes with that classical song,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Can't you see it's time to fucking rock and fucking," all that stuff. It's executed at such a weirdly high level that I think maybe you don't even catch it if you're just like, "Oh, that's really funny, that's really good." Part of the reason it's so effective and good is because of how legitimately talented he is.
Yes.
It's almost a part of the joke.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
it's what I think is funny too is like I think it's more on display Kyle Gass's
Guitar work?
his abilities and his talent in playing guitar is because you could be like, okay, now we're doing a solo. You know what I mean? And we're going
sure.
to see you do your flourishes. And with Jack Black, there is so much of that ribbit-ba-doo kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
That becomes, and he's so animated when he's singing, so it's hard. I think you overlook
Yes.
the pitch perfect fucking talent that he has.
I agree.
Because of all of the fun happening. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It's almost like he's a Broadway performer that is like channeling that into his comedic and singing abilities.
Yes.
It's really strange.
It's so crazy, and what it made me realize that like now as a 41-year-old man,
Yeah.
it made me go look back and be like, yeah, Jack Black, like an incredible singer, and I love his voice. Like I've grown up with it, but also it's a great voice. So yeah, I don't know. It sounds weird to be like, hey, you ever think about the fact that Jack Black's a really good singer? But it is. I don't think he gets the credit for it because of everything else that comes with it.
Oh, he's definitely a fun bear. So there's your credit.
Listen,
you got it, Jack Black. You got Ray Harrington's seal of approval.
I mean, it didn't need to have. I don't have any seal.
Like the thought process of like, hey, this thing that is really good? Like it's really, really, really good.
Yeah.
That's me. That's me, like every day, all the time.
That's true. All right, so we're driving back, and
You're 100% right.
And,
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and Chuck's
it-
like,
it's so
let's,
good.
let's listen to Less Than Jake on the way back.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it was every other song, but like 2 out of 5 songs, he's like, oh, this song's awesome. And he turns it up. And I'm like, yeah, I know the song. And then a couple songs like, oh, this song is awesome. And we're not talking in between songs. Maybe we're singing along, whatever. Oh, this song's awesome. And he just kept doing it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to throw you out of this car, Phyllis.
there's some sort of like filter on normal humans about like, hey, yeah, this song.
Yeah.
And it was destroyed when I was a young boy, and I cannot. I get tears in my eyes sometimes just listening to a thing that I know I've loved. I already listened to it 1,000 times. We all know it's good, and I just get emotionally affected by it. Tenacious D is 100% that for me. Have you seen them live?
I have not seen them live.
They're so good.
Of course,
it's ridiculous.
You know what I want now? I want an acoustic, like that live Wicked Game
Yeah.
is so fucking good. I want an acoustic cover album of just like, here's songs you recognize.
Dude.
And we're going to nail it. And it's just going to be Kyle Gass on guitar, KG on guitar,
Yep.
and JB on vocals, and just knock it out of the park. Really.
Dude, it's funny.
Also, he's a sweet man.
Yes.
Oh, he's the best.
I love that he's just a sweet man who is having fun doing his thing, and everything he's talked about with School of Rock is wonderful.
Of course.
That hit Finn when he was like so young. You
He's
know what
the
I mean?
best.
It's really, really fantastic. I love Jack Black.
He's
I don't
the
want
best.
anything to happen to him.
So you performed at the Strand in Providence with Dave Attell.
Yes.
I saw.
Who has a new special out, and I can't wait to see
Oh,
it.
I cannot wait to see it.
I know.
He's a very sweet guy.
I made him laugh very hard. He almost fell off of the stool he was sitting on. And it
yes.
is a point of pride in my life forever.
I was working with Dave Attell on this project that he's doing because he essentially wants to do a podcast, but he hates podcasting. He doesn't want to do an actual podcast. So we're working on this crazy kooky project, and he called me one day. And he's like, all right, what do you think? He's like, are you sick of it? What do you, he's like, are you over it? And I'm like, no, it's just so funny that he's like this. And I don't want to spill any beans about it because it's so weird, but it's so specific. And the people around the project that know what it is are like, this is bananas that he's focusing on this.
Yeah.
And I think he put that aside to do the special. So I think we might return to it pretty soon, which would be awesome.
That's fun.
be great.
But
I will spill the beans because you can't. I will spill them right now. He's trying to bring back a sort of pre all the bad stuff at Nickelodeon, like a weird middle ground thing. What I do appreciate about all that horrible stuff coming out about Nickelodeon, I was going to do a bit. I'm out.
Yeah.
The bit was going to be he's doing What Would You Diddy. But anyway.
I saw the best meme about the Nickelodeon documentary. They go, did anyone else notice that in the first 2 minutes of that 4-hour documentary, they have Mark Summers saying, that slime was cold, and then he never makes another comment. And it's true.
Yeah.
I was like, why did they have that? And just that. I'm like, they sat down, they lit him, they mic'd him, a crew went there and set this up, and that's all they used
because
for a quote.
It's from he's from before that bad shit was happening.
It's the establishing moment.
That's what I was going to say. It is interesting when the Nickelodeon I think we grew up with, was the pre all of this stuff. This stuff is like that's when they were doing like sitcoms.
It's funny because we were actually talking about it because I mentioned Ariana Grande, and I was like, I was basically like, I was talking to Brad because we were listening to Problem by Ariana Grande and Iggy Azalea. We were flipping out, both of us equally. And,
I would not describe our flip outs as equal.
and I was like, my ex-girlfriend used to do an impression of Ariana Grande, and I didn't really get it. I go, because I know Ariana Grande as like a pop singer.
Yeah.
But she was on a TV show. And I was like, it was that TV show. It was iCarly. No. It was.
You're like, that wasn't Hannah Montana.
It was like Miley Cyrus.
You mentioned iCarly 3 times.
But there was another one.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I have no idea
I
either.
have no clue. All I know is the Drake and Josh.
There's a lot of shows that were like a preteen girl and her friends live alone and they seem to be making stuff like videos.
Yeah. And
I
they
don't know
talk
what
to
it-
the camera. And
Yeah,
like, that's
I don't know what
yeah.
it is.
But back in my day, it was called Clarissa Explains It All, and no one was ever molested.
Back in my day. Back in
Did
my
you see
day,
what Ferguson tweeted today?
I was gonna do it back in my
Go
day.
ahead. No, I want to hear yours.
Winston Cigarettes presents the Flintstones.
That was great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it is interesting that like that period of Nickelodeon when it was like the Wild West of television, where they just had some money and got to make some really weird fringe fun.
The best.
Like Pete and Pete.
Our buddy Lee Leshin produced the Orange Years documentary.
Yeah.
That initial Nickelodeon stuff, not even just the shows like Pete and Pete and all that and Roundhouse and those kind of great shows. The interstitial promotional things that were claymation and the acapella.
Yeah, weird
fucking
shit.
Awesome.
I love it. That was a fun place, but I do want to point out this idea that I think is interesting. When it was the Wild West and there was no oversight,
right,
and each show was making its own thing, basically independent of all the other shows.
Yes.
And no one got molested. And then once it went all together in one big group, and we've got the studios, and we're going to do the thing, and we're going to make basically Friends for 10-year-olds over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
The machine allowed creeps in. And I do think it's interesting that, like, hey, you would think which one more likely had some, molesty stuff happening.
Yeah.
The one that's like shooting totally fucking guerrilla style run and gun, just like show up, do your thing. We got this house for the day. Hurry up and do the thing. You know what I mean? Or this one's on the set. This one's the studio. This is very
corporate.
Corporate. And I just think that's super interesting.
I completely agree.
And it's because the fringe one has the people that really want to make the shit and care about it.
Well,
and the corporate aspect is just a machine.
Yeah, it's a machine.
And a machine can have handsy cogs.
There's a funny aspect of it. Like one of the two, Drake or Josh, got molested, obviously, and like he talked about it, and it's like a harrowing tale with his dad and all this stuff. And then the guy that molested him, his name is Brian Peck. He was like a dialogue coach. And they're like, and many celebrities actually wrote letters of whatever for him. And they were like, you want to know who wrote letters of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Support.
Letters of, no, it was like character witness. Yeah. Sorry. There was like James Marsden, Will Fredel, blah, blah, blah. And they name all these people. And you're like, oh my God, oh my God. And then they go, now we will say, we don't know what they were told.
Well, yeah.
And I'm like, but no, I don't think that's obvious to most people because I think all over Facebook, I'm seeing like, this person has to answer for this person. And I'm like, they probably literally had no idea.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Especially if it's character witness. It's not even like...
There's your like Curb moment of like, I wrote the thing, because we worked on the thing together and they asked me to do it. And I did it. We have the same agent. I was asked to do it. And then it comes out and you're like,
that's funny. You know what would be really funny? Like, let's say it was Larry David. Let's say it's Larry David and like Michael McKean who was in the show, right?
Yeah.
So let's say it's early in the thing, and there's some really dumb legal thing. They live on the same block, and there's some sort of ordinance about parking. And they're like, listen, he got in trouble for something. And he's like, we talked about the parking thing.
Yeah,
and he writes the thing, and then later in the season, he finds out it's about a series. That's really funny.
Yeah, but I feel like it could be something like that. You know what I mean?
I don't want to be the character witness. Like, that's funny. I didn't witness this character.
I just think it's insane that we could have, and this goes back to Canada.
Yeah.
You can't do that on television.
All right.
And there's no like,
molesters?
Hey, there were creeps and perverts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is insane.
I will say, I don't feel ever confident saying there were no creeps and perverts.
That we know of.
Right. Yeah, it's tough.
We are at this point. We have to assume maybe creeps and perverts everywhere. Right?
If you asked me if there was any creeps and perverts on the set of the Mo Money, Mo Problems video, I would have said no.
If you had asked me how many children in the classroom in Milk Money ended up being creeps and or perverts, I would have said 0, and then I would be wrong.
Yeah.
Mace was a pastor. Is that right?
That's correct.
Oh, no. Pastors never do anything bad. Priests don't do anything bad. What? I'm sorry.
I had a joke I've had a joke for 5 minutes, and I
Please.
feel like the time has passed. Well, I was going to say that I wasn't.
Well, you just say it. That's how this podcast works. You can't just get quiet and then look angry at me about it.
I couldn't get a word in edgewise.
Okay, hit me with it.
Well, now
why is it so antagonistic in this room?
Because I didn't have enough caffeine today. I wasn't allowed to watch
Too much maple sugar.
Nickelodeon growing up because
Why?
my parents said slime was an abomination.
Oh, there we go. yeah.
But and then it was like, all right, well, then I'll change it to you can't do that on television. Okay, no.
Well, listen, I always say you're a sniper with jokes, and sometimes if you wait to take that shot, there's no more shot.
Yeah, Vladimir trots away.
What was he doing? In your mind,
Brad
what was he doing?
was a sniper to kill Putin.
Okay, but what was he doing to trot away? Was he on a horse?
Yeah.
Okay. What was he doing on that horse?
Getting ready to fight a bear, like usual.
This is Chuck being stuck in a situation where he has to teach a history class.
Bring in Melanie Griffith.
I was just going to say, you panic and you start undoing your jeans and you're like, let me show you fallopian tubes.
It's okay. I drew them on my dick.
Yeah.
They rubbed off.
I only have one fallopian tube.
Yeah. And then that guy from head of the class is like, oh, no, not again.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't like that the guy that they're pointing to as like the ringleader of all of it is the fat guy.
Yeah.
Come on.
I will say,
taking the fall.
It's funny because he's the most, and I use this word very loosely, but in the documentary it's true, famous of the perverts in this.
Yeah.
But like, it's like the other people's crimes are this.
Yeah.
And his are like, he was a dick. And it's like, they're like, oh yeah, this other guy, like, who've never heard of, unfortunately, molested 1 million people. This other guy was just a PA, but he had like a file cabinet of weird little girl stuff and a manifesto.
Yeah.
And then it's like, but we're going to focus on Schneider. What's up with those shots of feet?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
And I feel shitty about that because we all know in this room who will be found out to be a pervert and or creep. We know who that's going to be.
Why are we looking at me?
I'm looking at you as in a like we're in this together situation.
Yeah, we are, aren't we? We know who it's going to be.
Why are you pointing at Ray?
This is my situation. This is my issue. Is clearly something will come out.
Yep.
There will be a didification of the whole situation. Didification.
Yeah.
And then everybody's going to go, wow. What a piece of shit Ray Harrington is for allowing that to happen. You know what I mean? I'm like, what? I'm just because I'm 6'7" and fat. I'm the lightning rod of negativity.
If that does happen, I can't wait for them to cut to all my crazy quotes and your responses. Like, you knew.
It's in the news. It's a picture of me going like that, like huh, and then all the transcript of horrible things you've said are being played over my picture where I'm like, right.
It's going to be about Chuck's banana smuggling operation.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, what a piece of shit that guy is. And I'm like, no, I'm not that guy.
Yeah. I love it.
That is very funny.
I think one of my favorite things about the world where we're like kind of like, getting people for stuff all the time is when the person that like laughs near them gets in trouble for not stopping them.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite part of it. I think
it is kind of wild.
It's not
really
fair. I think they're like, when they were in public on mic, he didn't stop the podcast to call this guy out and say this thing. I'm like, do you live in the world? Where was that going to happen? It's fucking insane. Anyway.
It is wild. I do want to point out that the dialect coach being the horrific person there is slightly ironic because what he wanted most was for people to say nothing. Is there something there? Can we use that?
That's good. The PA had little girl panties in his file cabinet. Anything for that? That's so funny.
PA, nobody checked to see what PA stood for.
Panty
aggregator.
Yeah, very nice use of aggregator.
Thank you very much.
Aggregator, I like that. Final thing about Tenacious D.
They're just great, and I hope nothing. I hope KG and JB did not do anything bad.
No way.
It's one of those things where it's like they're comedy. So I think some people overlook the aspect of just raw talent.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're so good. Rise of the Phoenix, that's the album where they kind of had the comeback. And last thing I'll say is, did you ever watch the Complete Masterworks 2 documentary?
Yes.
Where they go on Conan, and the movie comes out and bombs, and it's it's really good. It's really, really good.
It's phenomenal. No, he's a national treasure.
Best.
Keep that man in your hearts.
The best.
And he was even great in The Jackal.
He's
Remember
great in
that
everything.
movie?
I mean,
I do.
Even in the stuff that's kind of like, let's just call it studio trash without naming anything specific. He's still fun.
That's my favorite nightclub to go to. Studio Trash? Oh, shit.
Couldn't get into 54, but
Stinks.
yeah.
Stinks. Where were you? Studio Trash? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was.
Partied all night.
But yeah, great
I think
time.
I saw Machine Gun Kelly there.
They close at 11.
But great time in Toronto.
Yeah, that's
with
wonderful.
Gris, like that day. It's kind of the typical thing. Whenever I go to a new place, I'm like, let's find the awesome record stores. Let's find the awesome coffee shops and places like that. And on a whim, we went to this poutine place, really fun. On a whim, we went to this awesome cookie place. That was really fun.
Yeah. I feel guilty. We went to CN Tower, and that was the one touristy.
I was going to ask you about the tower.
Brad wanted to go to
touristy thing
CN
I
Tower.
wanted to do, and I'm like, I know Chuck doesn't want to go to this.
I didn't say anything like that.
Yeah, you didn't say anything like that. I could see it in your eyes. But I was like,
I wouldn't want to go.
my family has been
I'm
to.
okay
I
with
would go
Toronto.
if someone was into it. I'd be like, yeah, sure, fine.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that Chuck doesn't like heights.
I don't really mind heights in that scenario.
Sorry, yeah, you don't like roller coasters. Sorry.
I don't like roller coasters. You know what I don't like? I'm okay with roller coasters. I'm okay with going upside down and going up high. The feeling of the drop in your stomach, like people like, I do not like that feeling.
Yeah.
But there's a couple roller coasters in the world that like the Rock and Roller Coaster, the Aerosmith one, the way that it works is I don't know why I'm talking about this. The way that it works is a magnet system. And as soon as it starts, you go 0 to 60 and you go upside down immediately. That doesn't bother me. The only thing I don't like is the drop feeling
drop.
of your stomach
Yeah. Oh,
going
yeah.
up. I just do not like that feeling. But heights don't really bother me.
That's fair.
All right, that's good. CN Tower, it's a great view of the city. We were fortunate to be there at like the right-ish time that the wait wasn't insane because you can see all the stanchions and stuff they have set up
yeah.
to manage a much larger line. And the wait wasn't
No.
terrible. It went up, just some funny interactions with other tourists up there. A guy like sitting with his back to the window.
And he just wouldn't get out of the way.
Just
And
wouldn't get out of
his
the way.
back was to the view, and he's looking at his phone for like
Yeah.
5 minutes, and we're just like,
Chuck accidentally bumped into him because we're like, oh, let's get a picture by the window.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And he just wasn't interested.
it was so bizarre.
That is weird.
It was great. And and then we stood on like the glass floor and like looked down, and Chuck's shuffling out.
I don't like it. I
I
don't
stayed
want
on
it.
the supports.
He stayed on this.
There was like bars.
Yeah.
I don't like heights. I
Yeah.
am very
Really?
I am a very firm no heights.
That's
no heights.
ironic. Very tall.
Yeah, but I'm on the ground.
Well, that's true. If we're 1,000 feet up,
Yeah.
we're only 1,000 feet, 5 feet 11 inches, 5 feet 10 inches.
11 and a half.
Yeah. I'm 6'7", soft.
So Ray is Ray is higher than us all the time. So that's disturbing.
Well,
It was.
I lose height because more blood goes down.
The big acorn.
Check this out. Ready? I was shrinking.
He's
shrinking.
thinking
down.
about his,
listeners.
He's thinking,
Smaller.
he's thinking about his PA days.
My PA days.
It was great being up there.
Protect all.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. It was a fun touristy thing to do. I'm glad there was not. If there had been like a giant crowd, I probably would have said like, let's go do something else. But it was fun to be up there and do the touristy thing. Take some pictures, walk on the glass, and that was kind of it. So it was a fun thing. I'm glad that Chuck and Gris, went along with me on that one.
I'll do anything. If you were like, listen,
That's part of your problem.
I heard if you were like, listen, I heard Toronto pet stores, very fun. I would have been like, let's do it.
Oh,
baby.
I heard about Canadian pet stores.
Yeah, you can touch the animal.
Yeah, exactly. And it's only a toonie.
No collars.
I fingered
at
a guinea
all.
pig.
Yes.
I got speaking of that, when we went to Montreal, when we were 18 years old,
Right.
Yeah.
none of us had been to a strip club. I'm not a strip club guy.
That's all right. Chuck's strip club enough for all three of us.
I haven't gone to a strip club in quite a while.
Yep. That's just because you were banned.
Not from everyone.
Yeah.
There's one.
You went to Club Trash a lot.
Studio.
Studio Trash.
Studio
yeah. So we were 18-year-old boy men.
Yep.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, you have to go to a strip club.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, let's go to a strip club. And we went to what was supposed to be like the strip club in Montreal.
Yeah.
And it was so funny, like looking back at it now, like 18-year-old us, there's 4 or 5 of us, like,
Right.
and we're going in, we're like, yeah, we're going to the strip club. Oh my God. I mean, at this point, like we've all done stuff,
Yeah.
we know what we're doing and all that stuff. But to never have been to a strip club and then 4 or 5 boy men go in like, yeah, we're gonna, like we go in so cocky, and then 5 minutes in, it's all of us sitting in a corner, terrified to do a damn thing,
yeah.
and like the waitress coming over and like taking our orders and stuff and trying to be like playfully be like, you guys can like get a dance or you can go up front, you can do that.
Yeah.
We were all sitting there like, you go up, you go up, and
course. Yeah.
you put the money, you do it, you put the money. And it was so it was going in. It was like, yeah, we can't wait to go in. And as soon as we were in, we were like, we should go.
Yeah.
But they had not just poles; they had
Verticals?
bars. They had like parallels,
Like
Wow.
climbers?
no, like a bar up top, and then you could they're spinning and swiffing and swapping.
Spinning and swiffering.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
They have some of those at they have
In your basement.
places. And
But no, it was just I'm not a strip club guy.
Yeah.
But it was so funny to see. It's a comedy movie.
Yeah.
yeah, of course.
4 18-year-old boys like, yeah, we're gonna go see this, and walking in like, here we go,
And then just getting totally
immediately
psyched out. Yeah.
it's the smash cut to all 4 of us sitting at the booth just and then all the
Yeah.
music and stuff, and we're like, you go
You give her your milk money.
Yeah. Give her your
I spent all my milk money on amaretto.
It's funny because we would go to the strip clubs in Providence when we were like 19 and stuff, because there was a couple that would let you in before you were 21. I think they must have either not served alcohol or I don't know, whatever. And the strip club culture around Rhode Island was really weird at that time because prostitution.
Strip club culture.
Oh no, it was because prostitution was legal in Rhode Island.
Oh, that's right.
It was like
yeah.
it was like an accident. It was almost like a. I shouldn't say it's an accident. It was just the way that they enacted the law was that you couldn't advertise for prostitution, but you could actually do it. So when you went to strip clubs around here, they could be like, "Do you want this, and do this stuff?" And it's funny because I didn't. That stuff is not necessarily what was funny about it. At the Foxy Lady, I don't know if this has to do with it. They had a boxing ring in the basement, and you could Jello wrestle the strippers.
Okay.
And that's you could.
Yeah.
I think that's really weird. And here's the
Yeah,
thing:
I don't want that.
I did not Jello wrestle any strippers.
Yeah, I don't like Jello.
I don't want to be in the Jello that all the others were in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You want to be the first Jello wrestler of the day, and then
No, I also don't want to do it in general, but also like yuck.
I went in the basement there years later, years later.
Yeah.
And the ring was still there. And I'm like, what the fuck was happening in here? Like, is it like
Yeah.
who wants to wrestle them in front of people? Like, if anyone listens to the show and you're in Rhode Island and you know exactly what happened, because I was probably too young to remember. This is like 20 years ago. So we're talking, let's say between the time of like 2000 and 2004. Why was there a boxing ring in the basement of Foxy Lady? I remember Jello Wrestling advertised. What happened in there? Please let me know. Funbearablepod@gmail.com. Very odd. But I had the same experience as you, except this Jello Wrestling thing was part of it. And that creeped me out.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway.
Man, I'd hate to be the person making the Jello.
yeah.
Yeah. Is it ready yet?
It's got a cool.
No,
it's got a cool.
It's setting. It's setting.
Viscous. It's
Yeah,
viscous.
it's not. It's got to film. We gotta wait. We gotta
Yeah.
wait. Or that day where the shitty fucking manager that's involved with like ordering everything is like, I forgot to order the big thing of Jello.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you got to do the packets. And you're just like, how many? 600. Okay.
We don't have any Jello. We have a lot of expired milk. It's kind of thick.
Yogurt fight.
Yes.
Yogurt.
They all have clothespins on their nose.
We tried to do pudding one day and it did not go over well. It didn't go over. We did do boba tea fighting.
Yes.
The little bubbles, the little balls.
It's fun.
Yeah, it was, but it's slippery, dangerous, choking hazard.
But we went to see Les and Jake that night at a venue called History, which is owned by Drake, as we found out.
yeah.
Which is very fun. Awesome venue. I went to Brad and I said,
I wonder if stuff's going to come out about Drake.
he was in a wheelchair on Degrassi.
That's what's going to come out?
Yeah.
Well, I was just saying he had to sit all the time, so he probably was pretty good.
What?
I think he was whatever. What are you going to say? Go ahead, talk about Drake.
Oh no, I'm saying I wonder because he was very like into Millie Bobby Brown for a minute.
I think that, I mean, maybe I'm speaking out of school here.
Yeah.
Was there recently a video
Degrassi.
released of him jacking off on his bus and showing everybody?
I don't know.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Some huge rapper recently had like his big dick and he's laying down, he's laying back,
You don't need to act out.
Yeah. Why are you getting ready to act it out?
and he's like,
Yeah.
and he's like kind of flopping and flipping it around. I thought it was Drake.
I think I'm having a vague recollection of it. I think that might have been Drake as well. Yeah.
See?
Yeah. So we already know not great, right?
Well, I mean,
If we were going to take a pool, like if we could send this into Vegas,
yes.
of like, you know,
Who's
people
next?
likely to, you know, come
Yeah.
out with turns out they were a pervert and a creep.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I might throw a little bit of money on that.
Drake. He's very horny, right? That's like a whole thing of his.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Well, if that's a barometer for if they're a pervert or creep, I guess where all of my money's going.
Yes.
Yeah.
How much? Can you cash out your 401k? Yes. Why are
Yeah.
you looking it up? I just realized what you're doing.
I found it.
All right, I believe you.
Here, tell him about it.
All right, sure.
Describe it.
All right, he was
All right,
laying
it's
back.
huge.
he-
It's
he was
sexy. I mean,
laying
it's
back
big.
like this, and then he went. "Nah." The concert was great.
Yeah.
So we stood in the middle, and I looked around, and I went, I wonder how many people are in this place.
Yeah.
Brad's like, I got no idea, you piece of shit. And I was like, I bet the capacity is 2,500. Looked it up.
2,500.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a really nice venue.
That was
Like,
Chuck said. Being right about that was his favorite part of the entire trip.
and it was really cool. I mean, Less Than Jake is a band I've loved for years and years and years. And what they did was they kind of recreated the album cover, but put all the different things all over the stage, like these huge cutouts of all these different pieces of it. And it was very fun. They're an extremely talented, tight live band. And I think, you know, it's fun because Gris doesn't have a ton of experience going to like punk shows, ska shows, that kind of stuff. And we were talking about the fact that I think a lot of the stuff that was like big for punk rock in like the late 80s, whatever, that was seminal for a lot of people, like the Misfits and Minor Threat and stuff like that. It was so thrashy and kooky and crazy. And there was almost like a well, it doesn't matter if they're bad live. Who cares? It's punk rock.
Yeah.
And then there was like a swath. Is that right? Or swath? What is it? Swath of bands who played very fast, super thrashy, super energetic, that were like fucking super tight, great musicians, harmonies are killer, and Less Than Jake is like at the top of that list. They're so talented. And it was just amazing. It felt like the entire crowd was just electric the whole time.
Yeah.
It was like everyone knew every single word. And like
Yeah.
they were like, listen, they were like, when you agree to do a full album show, you got to play the songs that have 200 plays on Spotify. Like they were like saying that stuff. And even those songs, people were fucking losing it. And they were just great. And it was really fun to, be with Brad. But me and Brad have a lot of experiences where we've seen this band specifically. A lot of bands like it and had a great time. But bringing someone into that kind of for the first time and having their first experience like that, which we didn't realize until I think we were like on our way to the show.
That's true.
He's like, yeah, I don't think I've ever been to a punk rock show or a ska show. And we're like, what? And it was incredible. Great time. Went back to Gris's house, laughed into the evening again. Next day, we're like, let's hit that grocery store, find some weird Canadian shit. They had those all-dressed Ruffles, which is the Ruffle chips with every seasoning on it.
Oh, it's Ruffles brand?
There were some Ruffles, there were some Pringles, there were some Hers, I think.
Yeah, and they're all rip-offs of the OG.
Uh-oh.
The OG. Humpty Dumpty, a.k.a. Old Dutch. They started the all-dressed. I'm from Maine.
Right.
Humpty Dumpty.
You got the all-dressed in Maine?
We've had them for years. And
I don't
suddenly
know.
it started creeping out. I guarantee you, internet sleuths, do your sleuthing.
Sleuth it.
I'm willing to I'll take some of my Drake money out and I'll put this on Humpty Dumpty / which is owned by Old Dutch or whatever, started the all-dressed thing.
So you got 3 tasks. 1, what was the plot of Milk Money? None of us can figure it out.
No,
2,
we already know that. we already know that. I explained it to
in
you.
the basement of Foxy Lady.
That one, yes.
2, Dutch, Humpty Dumped.
3.
Yeah, 3, find out what's on Drake's hard drive.
He said 3. That means number 1 we want to know. So anyway,
Which was the...
Milk Money.
No, it was Jell-O.
Then what's number 2?
The chips.
Then
You
what's number
changed
3?
it. Drake's hard drive.
Oh, the Drake.
Who's on first?
Drake's cakes. But
Ugh.
I only saw it from the front.
It's so big and floppy. That cake is just so floppy.
So,
We grabbed some Tim Hortons and
Yeah.
then we grabbed some chips and stuff.
now I'm gonna have to say this here and now. I didn't want to say this. I'm gonna say it to Gris here because I can't say it personally to him.
Yep.
He's always claimed Tim Hortons isn't as good in the U.S. We had Tim Hortons in Canada. It's identical.
I've had Tim Hortons. There was a Tim Hortons in Bangor, Maine. That was like the only coffee place open like 24 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So we would find ourselves there time to time.
Yes.
Tim Hortons is good.
Tim Hortons was always just like, I mean, it's open. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And being in Canada, that was a thing. But I was never like, ooh, yeah. You know what I mean?
I think it's good. There's two
Yeah.
there's 2 near me in Staten Island. And I'll go there just for like a change of pace once in a while for coffee. I mean,
Yeah. When you have all those Canadian coins.
Right.
yeah, but they do
Yeah.
have a maple frosted Boston cream, and Mr. Maple over here was very excited about that.
He creamed his Boston.
I ordered a cinnamon sugar twist.
Yeah.
Who ordered the maple donut?
Yeah,
Chucky?
because first of all, it was because you were trying to shed the nickname, and B, you couldn't take your eyes off it.
it's not true. Chuck,
This is why I don't like going over to my aunt and uncle's house.
Chuck made me eat a sour cream glazed Timbit.
And I said, you're not even
Yeah.
going to be able to tell the difference.
Those are good.
You know what he
Yeah,
said?
it was good.
Yeah.
He said, I think you gave me a regular glaze. I'm like, no, those are the sour cream ones.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, it
good.
was-
No,
it was
they're
good.
good.
It was
Yeah.
good.
But yeah, so, and then yesterday we drove back, and halfway on the way back, we stopped in Utica
Yep.
because we're friends with Frank Five and Mrs. Five from the Tell 'em Steve Dave universe. And they saw, Frank had texted me on Friday or Saturday when he saw that we were going up to Toronto. He's like, oh, you got to stop by. So we stopped by their place. We went out to dinner with them. They're like the nicest people ever.
it's great.
They're super funny. They've come out here. I think they saw all 3 of us perform on the Dark. Did you wear on the Dark Knight show, Bradley Drawn?
That might be the one I wasn't
There's
at.
only one that Ray wasn't on. It could have been that one.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think Tilson was on that one.
Jury duty.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
On a Sunday night, Ray.
Yes.
And,
and I was washing my hair at the same time.
Oh, all right.
But Frank and Mary they're cool.
Yeah.
It was.
Oh, tell them about. Okay, so you're gonna really like this.
I've done shows at Utica.
So I knew something about Frank's house, and I was like, well, first of all, Frank owns a DeLorean.
Yes.
Like legit.
Yep.
And I knew something about Frank's house, and I was thinking about it when we were going there, and I was like, oh, and then I was like, no, I'm not going to tell Brad. I'm going to let it hit him in the face with a big floppy Drake dick. Go ahead.
Sex dungeon?
Is this the basement?
Yeah.
Jello wrestling pit.
Yeah. And so number 4, if you know why there's a Jello wrestling pit, Chuck's like,
That's why you got the 5. Because it was 5 rounds.
yes.
That you have to go.
It was like beautiful home, well maintained.
Nice.
Chuck's like, all right, let's see the basement, and so he takes us down there, and he turns on the light, and there's
Let's see the basement.
there's memorabilia from a Bloodline, the television program.
Explain memorabilia.
Excuse me.
Like-
I heard bloodline and memorabilia, and all I could see was Nazis. That's all I could see.
Well, just kidding. There was
I have a story about that. Go ahead.
There was like a costume, like a shirt and autographs here, and
Like a
this and that.
full like laid out shirt under glass
Yeah.
from one of the characters on Bloodline, like signed by the guy.
And we go downstairs, and he has a wall of like autographed photos from all of these different people, and then this wall is all memorabilia from Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Like Ripley's actual cane, like signed scripts from
Wow,
Ripley,
yeah.
and the autograph wall. I'd estimate 25 feet long.
Wow.
With
Yeah.
like 100 or over 100.
That's really rivaling my collection of Jonathan Frakes Believe It or Not memorabilia. Oh my God. So many. I have framed photos of every single time he said that's a lie.
Wow.
Every single time. And he always looks so smug.
Yep.
That was a lie. That's a lie. I'm lying.
I love you sent me that compilation.
I
It's the
love
best.
that compilation
It's the
so
best.
much.
It's so
Yeah.
funny. But like he has so many mostly from TV stars, some movie people.
Yeah.
But he's telling us about how he got all these autographs, and the stories are. I know you don't know Frank Five.
Yeah.
He's so fucking funny. He was harassing Tim Conway on Twitter so much to get an autograph that he blocked
no.
him, and so he started harassing his son, and his son blocked him.
Oh, no. Tim Conway.
And he has the autograph, by the way.
Wow. Oh, I got it.
That's how he.
Oh, I got it all right.
Then he told us he got John Travolta's phone number, and he left him a message as like, what did he say?
He was like, "Hey, so and so for Mr. Cotter told me he hasn't seen Vinny Barbarino in school."
Oh, God.
And then he's like, I called back the next day, line was disconnected.
Yeah. They found me again. I don't know how, but they did.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
Libyans.
it was
I got to call David Miscavige.
it was great.
Why is my John Travolta just Christopher Walken?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It was-
I got to call David Miscavige.
And but he's telling us all these
David.
all these funny stories about because all these autographs basically have a story with them about how like Kelsey Grammer was touring his beer, and I followed him to this. It was so
Yeah.
fucking Frank and Mary are fucking hilarious.
I scared this guy in one parking lot.
Yeah.
I scared this guy in his backyard.
Yeah.
I scared this guy in his bed.
And there's a there's a little funny thing. So, I'm dating Natalie in Colorado. She's wonderful, and she's really funny. She's really cute, and she's very technologically behind. She doesn't know
Okay.
anything about technology. And when I was first talking to her, she's I can't tell you how funny she is. I'm just like, so like, what are you into? What do you like? And she's like, I like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Beat Saber. And I'm like,
Are you dating Miss Piggy?
oh, it sounds like it. I was like, Beat Saber. I'm like, I don't know what that is.
The VR thing, yeah.
She goes, I have a virtual reality headset so I can play this Beat Saber game. And I'm like, you don't know how to use a phone or have a laptop or understand an Xbox, but you have a virtual reality headset to play a virtual reality game? And she's like, yeah. So when I went to her house recently in Colorado, it was super fun. I don't know if you ever played it.
I know what it is. Yeah,
It was actually very, very fun.
Sure.
It's a version of Guitar
It's a
Hero.
rhythm game, yeah.
it was really fun. Went to Frank's house and he's showing us all his autographs, the DeLorean, all the Ripley stuff. He's like, this is Ripley's original cane. He took it out and showed us he had a flask inside. He's like, these are Ripley's notes on this radio script. And it was like all this different stuff. And then he's like, yep. He's like, there's this. And I'm like, is that a virtual reality headset? He's like, yep. And like, we weren't even like really talking about it. And I go, do you play Beat Saber? He's like, love Beat Saber. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? I've never heard these two words before.
Yeah, but
I
it's
love-
like if you have a VR thing,
I know. I think
Beat
it's one
Saber's
of the
like
things.
the one fun thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else is like, I don't know, you want to go on that roller coaster again?
He
and
told
get
me that he goes to
motion sick?
like
Virtual clubs, like
goes to virtual
like
nightclubs
studio,
and dances.
like virtual studio trash.
Explain it. Explain what he said.
I don't.
Studio trash VR.
He's like, everyone there was like dancing around, and I was just standing there. And I'm like, that doesn't sound any better.
No, Brad puts his hand on his shoulder and goes, tell me about it.
I get it.
Oh no. Yeah, Frank.
Oh, no, then he said, I applied to be a mod for this club. They'd let me know. And we're like a virtual bouncer? And Chuck's like, you're waiting outside. Like, there is cool.
Oh my God.
You get it. Frank and Mary are it's so funny because his wife, she's so funny. She's adorable. And she totally 100% is with him on this shit.
Yeah.
But like this, like annoyed and also thinks
yeah.
it's just as dumb, but she's totally in for it. And she's like, yeah, so we drove 12 hours to go to this con to meet Michael J. Fox. And like, it's totally like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're both hilarious.
I think it's fun with stuff like that where, you know, you have a moment. This reminds me. So there's a Lego set coming out. Okay.
Ray has his own little Beat Saber.
Absolutely. Wait, I don't like the way you just said that. like it's a Drake situation.
It is tiny.
Check out my Beat Saber.
Oh, it's not a Drake situation.
Oh, it's a Drake situation. Tell him it's a Drake situation. I'll prove it right here and now.
No need.
Okay. So I know what you were doing.
Some song.
What was I saying?
Were you ordering poutine just now?
Legos.
Yeah. So I get that kind of support thing.
Yeah.
Because I like building Legos. It's my thing that like allows me to, you know, focus on a thing without having to think about other things. Right. It's very nice. It's like a video game, and I balance how much a thing costs over how much enjoyment, stuff like that.
Yeah.
This one particular Lego set just was announced. It's coming out. I was initially like, it's just too much money. I'm not going to do it. Not for this. It's too much. And I was telling Lee about it. Lee Leshin, you know, we already introduced who he was earlier. But, you know, one of my closest friends, and we were talking on the phone, and it's a Batman, the animated series, skyline of Gotham City.
Ooh, skyline.
And it's flat with a little bit of dimension to it. But it's even built to hang on the wall. Right?
That's cool.
It's so good. It's filled with little Easter eggs of the animated series. I grew up on that. I would come home from fucking fourth grade.
Yeah.
Fourth grade. Yeah. Come home off the bus. I was a latchkey kid. I would get home and I knew 3 o'clock, Batman the Animated Series. I can watch that. And then the Superman animated series right after that.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
So like it's a really special thing in my heart, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And this set is coming out and I'm like, I want this set so bad. It's $300. Mm-hmm. To me, that is a lot of money for a Lego thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I really struggled with that, right? And I was showing Lee this thing, and we're on the phone together, and he's looking at it on his phone, and I'm looking at it on my phone, and we're just like, we're drooling over this thing because he loves Batman as well. And he was like, I got to get this. I got to get this. And he's like, you got to get this. And I'm like, well, you told me to do it, so I guess that'll be okay.
Pass that buck.
Yeah, you told me to. Now I have to because we're both gonna get it. And it would be shitty if I didn't.
Yeah.
Kalina, you know Papa Lee? And she's like, Papa Lee.
Yeah. But so I was explaining. I told Kalina about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's you know, it costs a lot, but I'm gonna do it. And in my head, the way this works is it comes out in April, but to me, it's the money that I'm going to make on this June 3-week run of cruises.
Yeah.
It's coming from that. That's my one little frivolous gift from that.
Yeah.
That's how I reasoned it.
Yeah.
And to my surprise, Kalina was just like, yeah, that makes total sense. It's fine. I think that's awesome. I love that you're getting that. And I was joking about it with her. I'm like, you know, it's good. Like, I don't do drugs.
I think about this all the time.
I'm not an alcoholic. I don't fuck around. I don't, but also on the other end of it, it's like I don't like build cars or have jet skis or like do this other, you know, money pit thing.
I know, same thing. I feel the same way.
I get video games and I play some Legos sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
What are you gonna do? You know what I mean? So I think that's where it comes from with Frank 5, where it's just like, yeah, sometimes I got to drive 12 hours with him, so he can go scare Michael J. Fox. Michael!
You should see him.
He's back. It's him.
Doc, I don't know how, but he found me.
Yeah. And then he's saying that to the back of Doc, and then Doc turns around and it's Frank Five in the wig.
Yeah.
We gotta get him on. He's so funny. It's funny. I know you don't know that much about the Tell 'em Steve Dave Patreon stuff, like behind the paywall. And Walt there's a show called It's All About Frank.
I think it's sad that you don't call it the Paywalt.
The Paywalt, yes.
Yeah.
There's a show about Frank called It's All About Frank, and Walt
What's that about?
is very trolly about some of the content we produce, and it's all Frank's top 5 things, but Walt makes them insanely. What's the word I'm looking for, Brad?
Not niche, but like
It's minutia.
It's minutia.
It's
Okay.
minutia of minutia of minutia.
Yeah.
And it's because Mrs. Five comes on and kind of rebuts all the stuff he says, and they nitpick
Yeah.
and stuff. One of them was top 5 light bulb wattages. No
Oh,
joke.
God.
And it's a real show that's on the Patreon.
That people pay for.
One of them, and Frank was talking about it, Walt said top 5 days to go Christmas shopping. And Frank went in, misunderstanding it, and he's like, number 1, Monday. Isn't that the funniest fucking
That's great. That's great. Although that is making me think. I think we could have some paywall situations, like let's say top 5 hot dog toppings.
Oh, I'd love
Brad.
that.
tough. Number 1 is chili,
Okay,
followed by cheese.
it's multiple things, but I'll allow it. Cheese.
Yep.
That's 2.
I mean,
He's gonna go ketchup.
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 Yeah, sorry that I'm.
I mean, that's the safe, obvious thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got 2 more, or are you out? You're just
No,
like, no, that's it.
Oh, let's put some bacon on there, my friend.
Bacon. A hot dog, and
Yep.
you're like, how
Well,
can I?
he's making
increase this?
his own little dog here. It might have chili, cheese, and bacon.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. And ketchup,
No,
And then,
he's not gonna combine the cheese
and then
the
a
ketchup.
napkin for when you're done.
Yes. And then, then I'm going to Joff's in Bellingham, Massachusetts, and I'm getting that pulled pork dog.
All
this is
right.
good.
There you
Barbecue
go.
pulled
Josh,
pork.
that's good.
All right.
He can do it.
Yeah.
I did think about the idea of doing lists to drive engagement because people will complain. They'll be like, "I can't believe you didn't
Oh,
say
yeah.
mustard."
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
that feeds the algorithm.
Yeah.
And before we know it, our controversial stances are getting us canceled.
Wow, what an empty, lifeless existence.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Just chasing algorithm.
Yep.
Before you know it, our controversial states are getting us canceled.
No mustard. And it's like, canceled.
Brad's
Yeah.
being taken away in handcuffs.
Yep.
Here's how I look at it. Did he?
I was gonna say
Brad.
Brad's private jet is taking off as they raid his house. Oh my! He's looking out the window.
I look out the window, I'm like, ha ha ha, and I turn and I eat my hot dog with ketchup.
For some reason, the radar image of the plane shows it do a 3-point turn
Okay, be careful about this. All right.
I have to go where the only place I can be safe. Germany.
yeah.
They love hot dogs. They're white and they feel the same
And I
way
think
about stinkers.
They might be still stinker free. I love using.
There's too many bad jokes, and I don't want to go in the direction.
Dude, I love the idea of using stinker as a catch-all for any sort of racism involved with Brad's proclivities. But anyway, so
As a goof,
Yeah. As a
Brad doesn't
goof.
do that, and if he does, I have no previous knowledge of it.
I try not to.
All I know now is, given what's happened with Mr. Marsden,
Yep.
I'm not signing shit for anybody.
It is weird to think of because I'm like, and on a much smaller scale, like I have taken people's sides in disputes because I have heard one side of a story. And there are 2 sides to every story.
Yeah.
There's a well-known colloquialism that states that. And I think about like maybe
Who are you discounting?
maybe
Oh, you don't want to get me
like
started.
like if I dated a woman and she's like, my ex-boyfriend stinks.
That's-
he's this.
Oh, yeah,
And then you get to know her and she's the one who stinks. And
Sure, yeah.
And you're like, oh,
Of
wait
course,
a minute.
of course, yeah.
So it's you know what? I'll say it. Don't believe anyone at any time about anything unless it's Funbearable.
Until
Yes, until our
something happens.
until our controversial takes get us canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
great-
that was, I'm so glad that you had, had a lot
great,
of fun.
great
you know
time
what I
with
mean?
Mary and Frank, and then
Yeah.
Brad and I just drove into the night, just singing to Real Big Fish and Less Than Jake and Against Me.
Oh,
and
the song's awesome. I shout out to Gris. Like
the best guy
What
ever.
what a great host he was. Really like making sure things were okay. I'm looking around his side. Like honestly, his house and the Fives house, the Casa de Cinco. I got to do my Duolingo for today. Anyway, like both of them were just decorated so nice. I was like, oh, I got to step up my game in my house. And I know we've talked about like hanging stuff on walls and all that. And I'm like, this isn't my permanent residence, even though I've been there for 13 and a half years.
Yeah.
I'm like, I should probably make my house look nice
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, do it.
because their houses looked nice.
I'm feeling similar just because Natalie's coming to my Rhode Island home for the first time this weekend, and I'm like, my bare walls.
Yeah.
Upstairs anyway. But yeah, just a great time. We had a really good time as always, and I was like, is this the furthest we've ever driven together? I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is.
That's great.
I drove to Virginia and back, and Washington and back, and I drove from Rhode Island to Austin with my buddy Lou, so that was probably the longest. But it was just a really fun time, and I think that, like I said, the Las Vegas trip is kind of what fueled it. Where it's like, you rarely get to just like be like, we're just gonna be together for fucking 72 hours or whatever it is. And it's fun to jump at those opportunities while they still exist, because you never know. It's like, like you were just talking about your Montreal trips when you were a kid, like or a late teen, with your friends. It's like, even if you did want to do that now with like the same people or whatever, you'd have to be like, okay, a year from now, we're going to take a 48-hour period if all our wives say we can, and if the work works. It's so difficult as time goes on. And I kind of think you got to jump on it while you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like at some point, it's like, me, Gris, Brad, we might all have kids. It's like, when's that going to happen?
Oh, I'm not. No, I'm done. I'm out of the game, Jerry.
All right, whatever. Did he?
Yeah, the guy who was supposed to set me up with someone, he didn't say who. He recently left the country. He didn't say where he was going or why he was
Well, also,
going.
I think you're probably shooting blanks because you've stood in front of that microwave for so long at crotch level, just anxiously waiting, tapping your foot, going, is this 15 seconds up yet?
Yes.
Well, this was good. And we made it about 2 hours, which is wonderful because we said we wanted to do this for an hour and I think 35 or 40. But with the conversion rate, that comes out to 2 hours.
A lot of conversation about the conversion rate of the event.
Yeah, it was great. It was a really fun time.
Great trip. Yeah. So thank you to
Canada.
Next big
for
trip,
hosting us.
Chuck and Ray going to Colorado.
Oh yeah,
big stuff.
You guys.
To be clear, it was. First off, that's not even my big trip, even remotely yet. I got so many other ones to go. I'm going to Ireland and England. Then I'm going to
the one you're looking for.
Then I'm going to Alaska for 3 fucking weeks.
That is the one you're looking forward to the least, I'd say.
And then it is funny. Like I'm going to Colorado for shows. Like I'm going to be doing shows 4 nights. I think it's going to add. I think they're adding another one, so 5 nights. And when I said that, Chuck was like, I go to Colorado. We should go together. And he said a few things over the course of since then.
Yeah.
Like he just said now, where I'm like, what are we talking about? You know what I mean?
2 weeks before you go, he'll be like, so what days are your shows? And you'll tell him. He'll be like, that's not right.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure you're in Vail the other day. You know?
Yeah.
It is very funny.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I mean, enjoy that trip. Like, truthfully, it was.
I love speaking things into existence.
It was a really great trip. It was a really great Christmas present. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Canada. Thank you, Gris.
And thank you, Less Than Jake. They're so good.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
great.
They're great.
It's great.
Yeah. Chris from Less Than Jake, the lead singer, was the first big guest we had in the Chuck and Brad podcast. Too,
Oh, that's cool.
Which was
Yeah.
really, really cool.
That's great.
And then the drummer of Less Than Jake is the guy who signed my band to Paper and Plastic
yeah,
Records.
yeah,
So
that's
it's-
wonderful.
We have a little connection. It's really, really fun. They're
That's
nice
really
guys.
cool. Yeah.
It's good stuff. Well, folks out there, if you have road trip stories you want to share or answers to the sleuth dilemmas,
We have 3.
yeah, the
We have 3.
Maybe
sleuth
4.
3 sleuth situations that we put in front of you today, send us an email to funbearablepod@gmail.com or through the socials @funbearablepod. Always happy to hear from all y'all. For Ray Harrington and Little Acorn Staten, I'm Mr. Maple saying thank you so much, and we're sorry for being Funbearable.
Both of those are so creepy.
Yeah,
What
they're
is
really
Ray's
terrible.
nickname
So
going to be when we
creepy.
go to Colorado?
I don't know.
I think it's gonna be like
Annoyed.
you saying, "No
Annoyed.
problem, man. I'll see you when we get back."
I'm barely making it through.
You're sobbing. It would be funny to be like, "Oh no. I won't make any plans to meet up with you in Colorado, but if you find me, we'll hang out."
You know what'd be funny? If
know?
I went to his shows as like his biggest fan, and like so like everyone there thinks I'm his biggest fan. Like I have the
Oh,
Ray
creepy.
shirt and all
Creepy.
that.
a real,
That would be funny.
a real Frank Five situation.
Yeah.
I'll get some inspiration.
Yeah, and then I'm talking to like I'm talking to one of the bookers. Like my buddy Chuck is supposed to come, and he's like doing a bit, and it's fucking insane. And I don't know, he might come. He said he's going to be dressed up weird. I just want to let you know. And then the booker turns around, and it's you. Yeah.
Love it.